Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to BX Sports Jedi Network, another edition of the Notorious G Money Hoop Show and Podcast. Happy 2022. Let's get it going.
Baby. What's cracking, cast? How everyone doing? You got Boogie Drop. And today we're gonna talk about the hoop during the week and the juiciest NBA news today. With that, let's get ready to rumble. Alrighty, on Monday, January 3rd, the 76ers prevented the Rockets launch 133 to 113. The Prospects only beat had a trip dub, 31 points, 15 boards, and 10 beautiful assists. After that, the Wizards catch the spell on Hornets, 124 to 121. Good was harder than furnace. 36 points, 14 boards, 6 assists, and deadly bombs. The Grizz put the Nets into hibernation. The Grizz never trailed. They win 118 to 104. Ja Morant has jaw dropped in this season. 36 points, 8 dishes, 6 boards. The Bulls knocked off the Magic 102 to 98 in a thriller. Vooch led them with 13 points, 17 boards, double, and a dish. The Pistons shocked the world and shocked the champs. 115 to 106 in Wisconsin. Sadiq Bey was hotter than a sauna with 34 points, 8 boards, and 4 dishes. The Jazz sang a tune in New Orleans, 115 to 104. Spider Mitchell had 29 points and 5 dishes. The Mavs ate the Denver Nuggets 103 to 89. Look at the Don had 21 points, 15 helpers, and 8 boards. Warriors knocked off the Heat 115 to 108 in Dub Nation. Jordan Poole had a monstrous 32 points and 5 dishes. The Trailblunders, aka the Trailblazers, beat the Slumping Hawks 136 to 131. Despite the fact that Trae Young was terrific with 56 points and 14 helpers, it was Anthony Simons who stole the show with 43 points and 7 dishes. The T-Wolves beat the Clippers 122 to 104. Anthony Edwards was ball 28 points and 4 dishes. Then let's go to January 4th. The Grizz continued the hot streak. beat the
beat the
Cavs
Cavs
110
110
to
to
106.
106.
John
John
Morant
Morant
had a
had a
big
big
time
time
26
26
points,
points,
6
6
dishes,
dishes,
and had
and had
a
a
jaw-dropping lid,
jaw-dropping lid,
a
a
steal,
steal,
and he
and he
swooped to the
swooped to
hoop
the
with a
hoop with a
deuce
deuce
to get the
to get
Grizz
the
a
Grizz a
4-point
4-point
lead.
lead.
The Raptors put the Spurs to extinction. Body
Body
slam in San Antonio. Toronto wins 129 to 104. Fred
Fred
VanVleet has been beasting.
33
33 points,
7
7
dishes.
dishes. The Knickerbockers beat the Pacers 104 to 94. JR30, Julius Randle had a 30-burger with 16 boards and 4 dishes. Star J Barrett had 32 points and had 19 in the first quarter. And this is the first time in their lifetime that RJ and JR30 have at least a 30 piece in the same game. My young and fun Phoenix Suns shine bright in New Orleans, winning 123 to 110 in the Big Easy. D Book was cooking, 33 points, 9 boards, 4 dishes. The Lakers, the streaking Lakers, by the way, knocked off the Kings 122, 114. The King putting the Kings as his peasants, 31 points, 5 boards, and 5 dishes. Wednesday, January 5th, the Hornets clobbered the Pistons 140 to 111. Kelly Oubre was hotter than a pistol. 8 feathery bombs in the fourth quarter. 9 overall in the game. The 76ers do not believe in magic. They knocked off Orlando 116 to 106. Seth Curry had 20 points and 12 dishes. The Rockets winning a thrill in the hood in DC 114-111. That stops a 8-game schneid. Kevin Porter, I swear in the veins. Boom shakalaka the 3-ball with 0.9 seconds to go. Winning in DC, Christian Wood had 22 points and 11 boards. The Spurs hold off the Green Leprechauns, the Boston Celtics in Beantown 99 to 97. DeJounte Murray continues to ball out, 22 points and 12 dishes. Jaylen Brown did give you a 30-piece, but missed a layup that would have even Steven the game and would have sent it overtime. The Brooklyn Nets, overcame a 19-point hole in Indy. The return of Uncle Drew, Kyrie Irving. The Nets win 129 to 121. KD was feasting. 39 points, 7 dishes, 8 boards. Uncle Drew had 22 points and a big time 10 in the fourth quarter. He was serving. And Lance Stevenson was boogie in the first quarter. 20 points in the first, 30 overall in the game. Sabonis gave you a trip dub. 32 points, 12 boards, 10 helpers. But it wasn't enough for the Pacers. On Dirk's jersey retirement night, the White Stallions from Dallas, a.k.a. the Dallas Mavs, run past the Warriors 99 to 82 on Wednesday. Look at the Don gave you 26 points, 8 helpers, 7 boards, and man, Dirk Nowitzki was smiling. Hey, he should get a 10-day contract, come back though. The Toronto Raptors continue to surge. They win 117 to 111 on Wednesday, knocking off the champs. Spicy P had 33 points, 6 boards, 6 dishes, and Chris Middleton gave you 25 points and 4 dishes. The T-Wolves beat the Thunder 98-90. Pat Bev, the hard-nosed, the bloodhound of the Wolves pack, gave you 20 and 6 dishes. The Utah Jazz ate them Denver McNuggets 115 to 109. Bogdanovich was awesome. 36 points, 13 boards, 4 dishes. The Joker gave us 26 points, a jaw-dropping 21 boards, and 11 dishes. The Miami Heat playing the Trailblazers 115 to 109. Max Strus was hotter than a furnace. 25 points, 6 boards, and 5 dishes. The Atlanta Hawks spread their wings and fly high in that town. 108, 102. Kevin Huerter had 25 and 11 rebounds. Let's go to Thursday. The New Year Knickerbockers winning the Thrilling Hood. Star J. Barrett. Coated in ice. Banked in the long ball three to win at the butt. Overcoming a 25-point deficit. New York wins 108, 105. Awesome game. This is the second time in Knicks history the New York was down and coming back to steal the game. The Grizz knocked off the Pistons 118 to 108, and the Grizzlies continue to put their bear claw on their opponents, 8 straight W's. John Morant was beasting, 22 points, 9 boards, 6 dishes. The Pelicans soar past the Warriors, handing the Warriors' first losing streak of the season. They win 101 to 96. Brandon Ingram was stupendous, 32 points, 11 boards, and 6 dishes. And my Phoenix Suns, the team that's trying to show all of you that they're not a fluke, they shine against the Clippers 106 to 89. Cam Johnson, Cam Bam Splash, 24 points, 7 boards, and a dish. And the point guard, CP3, had a trip dub. Chris Paul had 14 points, 13 boards, and 10 beautiful helpers, man. Jalen Smith balled out too with 19. And even Cam Payne was bringing some pain, gave us 10 off the bench. So the Suns, who are number 1 in the West right now at 30 and 8, hey, don't sleep on these guys. They're trying to rise from the ashes and get back to the finals and maybe try to win the championship. The Sixers knocked off the Spurs yesterday, 119 to 100. The Bucks steamrolled past the Nets 121-109. They didn't trail. By the way, in the Philly game, Embiid gave you a 31-piece, 12 boards, and 7 dishes. His 6th straight 30-point game for the process. In the Bucks-Nets game, the Greek Freak, the finals MVP, gave us 31 points, 9 dishes, 7 boards. The Raps put the Jazz to extension and win their 5th straight game, 122 to 108. They're 19 and 17, 7th in the Eastern Conference. And their sleepers. Don't sleep on those baby dinosaurs. Van Fleet started off slowly, but man, he came out like a man. 37 points, 10 boards, 10 dishes, a trip dub for Little Freddie. The Chicago Bulls stampede through the Wizards 130 to 122. The Bulls have been hotter than a pistol. 9 straight W's. 26 and 10 in the season. Number 1 in the Eastern Conference. Who would have thought that? Vooch gave you a double double, 16 points, 14 boards, and 7 dishes. Bradley Beal gave us 26 points and 6 dishes. The Mavericks ran through the Rockets 130 to 106. Jalen Brunson gave the Mavs a dub, 15 points and 10 dishes. The T-Wolves beat the Thunder in the week and walloping them 135 to 105 in OKC. D-Lo was freeloading, 27 points, 12 dishes. And you want to hear this? He was cool, calm, collected. 11 from 12 from the field, 4 or 5 from downtown. This is the first time in T-Wolves history that someone had at least 25 points, 10 dishes, at least 90% shooting. Congrats, D-Lo. Anthony Edwards, balling, 24 points, 960 from the field, 6 and 9 from the great beyond. Naz Reid, 17 points off the bench for the T-Wolves. Let's keep going. Yesterday, the Nugs beat the Kings 121 to 119. The Joker had a lot of jokes up his sleeve, 33 points, 10 boards, 7 dishes. And the Lakers ran through the slumping Hawks 134 to 118. King James, he still has some juice left in his body, made the Hawks his peasants. 32 points, 8 boards, 9 dishes. Trae Young did give us 25 points and 14 dishes, but sadly wasn't enough for the Hawks. But hey, the star of the shows were Malik Monk and Avery Bradley. Bradley gave you 21 points, and he was hotter than a pistol in the first quarter. And then Malik Monk was strong as a hunk, 29 points, and he was balling. Even THT was even skying in front. He gave you a vicious jam and ding dong in the third quarter, and then they gave you 21 points overall in the game. And even the King gave you a dynamite dunk at the end of the game. Hoodie Mello, Carmelo Anthony gave you 17 off the bench. And now it's last night's performance. And also Russ gave you 13 dishes and 11 boards. And last but certainly not least, the Cavs continue to surprise people. 114 to 101 over the Trailblazers. Darius Garland gave us 26 points and 6 dishes. And the Cavaliers, by the way, matched last season's win total at 22 wins. They're already at 22 wins right now. They're 22 and 17 in the season. And don't sleep on these guys. They might even squeak into the playoffs this season. And with that, the Atlanta Hawks are in the Ben Simmons trade rumors, according to CBS reports. Ben Simmons would help the Hawks with passing, rebounding, and defense for the Hawks, because Atlanta needs some sort of defense, because their offense is fine, but the Atlanta Hawks, they can't stop a parking car right now. The Atlanta Hawks defense has just been terrible. They're one of the worst defensive teams in the NBA. They give up too many drives, dunks, open threes, and they just don't close out the shooters, though. And right now, they've been one of the most disappointing teams in the league. The Atlanta Hawks started off the season 11 and 9. They're 6 and 12 ever since, and now they're 17 and 21 in the season for the Hawks after they were 2 wins away from going to the NBA Finals last season. Another team out there that you should not sleep on is the Toronto Raptors. 5 straight W's. Fred VanVleet has just been beasting so far this season. Fred VanVleet has had an all-star type year for the Raps, and he's been dynamite. He even had season highs. He had a season high 35 on Sunday against the Knicks. He had a trip dub yesterday against the Jazz, 37 points, triple-double, 37 points, 10 rebounds, 10 dishes. He even had 33 against the Spurs, January 4th. He's just been absolutely phenomenal. Even Spicy P's had a dynamite season. And Scotty Barnes, hey, heart tough as nails, man. Tough as nails. Fred VanVleet has been dynamite. 22 points per game, 7 boards, 5 dishes, on a scorching hot 41% from downtown. Man, he's just been fabulous this season for the Toronto Raptors, though. And another team that continues to soar, the hard-nosed Memphis Grizzlies, who you will see them today in Clipperland against the Clippers today. The Grizz have won 8 in a row. They're 26-14 in the season. They're number 4 in the Western Conference. Who would have thought that? John Morant's had a great year. Desmond Bain has been clutch. Dylan Brooks, he's been banged up all year, but when he's been healthy, he's been the hard-nosed bloodhound for the Grizzlies. And even Steven Adams is giving you big-time double-doubles. So the Grizzlies continue to soar. They've won 7 straight games. I'm sorry, my fault. They've won 7 straight games, trying to get win number 8 in a row against the slumping Clippers, who have lost 2 in a row. Another team that continues to be steady, the raging Chicago Bulls. 9 straight W's, number 1 in the Eastern Conference, 26-10 to start the season. DeMar DeRozan has been clutch, has had ice water in his veins. Zach LaVine, Zach has been dynamite. Nikola Vucevic giving you double doubles, and Lonzo Ball balling so far. And Billy Donovan, arguably the coach of the year, has done a great job elevating his young Bulls and make them strong men. And they're number 1 over the Nets and the Bucks and the Heat and the Sixers. Who would have thought that? But now let's talk about some teams that have had slumped as of late. The Wiz. Washington started off the season 10-3. Ever since then, the Wizards has just been a downward spiral. They're 9-17 in their last 26 games, and now they're 9th in the Eastern Conference. And the reasons why the Wizards has started to struggle, their defense, especially in the paint, is just not very good. They're one of the worst teams giving up layups and dunks in the paint. And the Wiz right now, they're just not playing good basketball right now. They're just not playing good basketball. They early in the season they were playing into the system. They were playing within each other. But now you see that they're starting to lose their chemistry after the great start that they had. And if the Wizards want to make the playoffs, they gotta execute. And Greg Monroe, I think, will help him a little bit because he's hard nosed from Georgetown, great defender. Occasionally can hit the mid range shot, can score in the paint. The Wiz need a big that can protect the rim, and also they have struggled from the perimeter as of late. The Wizards are one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the league. Kyle Kuzma had a good start to the season, but he's tailed off. Bradley Beal's been up and down all year. KCP had a good start. He's tailed off. Dinwiddie had a very good start. He's tailed off. The Wizards, they just need consistency like they had the first 13 games if they want to get to the playoffs and be a threat. Another team that has slumped is the LA Clippers. And to be fair with them, they've just not been healthy. Kawhi Leonard hasn't played all year. PG has been out for a while due to a UCL injury in his elbow. Zubac has been out for a while. Morris just came back against the Suns. They just haven't stayed healthy all year. Kennard's been out. The Clippers have just been hit with injuries and the virus. They've just been the Los Angeles infirmary to this point because they just can't stay on the court. And the Clippers have a tough schedule coming up in January. In their next 10 games, the Clippers have a gauntlet. You have the Grizzlies today. You have the Hawks tomorrow. They're home against the Nuggets Tuesday. They're at New Orleans Thursday. Next Saturday, they're at San Antonio. Yeehaw! Then after that, they're home against the Pacers on MLK Day, Monday, January 17th. Then they're at the Mile High on ESPN, Wednesday, January 19th. Then they're at Philly, Friday, January 21st. At the Big Apple in New York against the Knicks. Then January 25th at DC, at Orlando. PG might come back for that game because he might come back January 26th. Then they're at South Beach, at Charlotte, and at Indy. The Clippers have a gauntlet in this month, a huge time gauntlet in this month for the Clippers. So if the Clippers want to make the playoffs, they gotta tread water and hope Kawhi Leonard can come back, and hope PG can come back too, and everyone else because they're just on a slump right now. And Kawhi is ahead of schedule coming back to return. But here's my thing: how is he going to look from his ACL injury? He hasn't played since June, Game 4 against the Jazz when he bumped knees with Joe Ingles. So we don't know how he's going to look from injury. So I think it's going to be a little bit rusty when he comes back. But I think next season you're going to see the best out of Kawhi Leonard. So that's my thing with the LA Clippers. For the T-Wolves, they have been surging. They've won 3 in a row. They're 19-20. D'Angelo Russell, Big Cat, and Anthony Edwards has balled out. And let's look at the Timberwolves' next few games in this month. They're at Houston against the horrible Rockets, should win that. They're at New Orleans against the horrible Pelicans, should win that. Then they're at Memphis on Thursday. Then Sunday at home against Warriors, when the Warriors are going to be at full strength. Could be a playoff preview. Then they're at New York against the Knickerbockers on Tuesday. Then they have to fly to Hotlanta against the Hawks Wednesday, January 19th. Then they don't play again till Sunday, January 23rd against the Brooklyn Nets in the Twin Cities. Oh! Then Tuesday, January 25th at Portland in Rip City. Then January 27th on TNT in Dub Nation. Then January 28th against my young and fun Suns at the Valley of the Sun at January 28th at 9 o'clock. And then January 30th in Salt Lake City against the Jazz. So January, it starts up a little easy with the Rockets and the Pelicans, but it gets more of a gauntlet. You have the Warriors twice, you have the Grizzlies, you have the Knicks, the Hawks, the Nets, the Blazers. But hey, the T-Wolves have been surging high, 3 in a row, and it's starting to find their chemistry. And Pat Bev's effect has been real. Hard-nosed bloodhound. He's tough as nails, can give you on-ball defense, can hit the big-time 3, and he's an underrated playmaker too. D'Angelo Russell, underrated playmaker, can dish the rock, can shoot the 3, can penetrate. Anthony Edwards, he's going to have a big-time career. Athletic freak, can scat the rock from downtown. And Big Cat, can score in the low post, can shoot the rock. The Wolves have a team that might make the playoffs this year. And Minnesota's only a game back of the Nuggets for the 7th seed, and they're tied with the Clippers for the 8th seed, and they're again half back of the 6th seeded Los Angeles Lakers. So if the Wolves continue to skyrocket, they can make the playoffs for the first time since 2018. And with that, there's a lot of trade rumors that's going on in the NBA right now. You have the Atlanta Hawks trying to get Ben Simmons. You have a potential 3-team deal with De'Aaron Fox coming up. If I were De'Aaron Fox, he has to get out of Sagtown. The Kings are just a dumpster fire, man. He needs to go to a team like Philadelphia. Boogie Cousins, he's in the market. He's a free agent. The Bucks waived him. I think teams like the Bulls, the Heat, could use Boogie Cousins because even though he may not be the hard-nosed Boogie that we saw back with the Kings or with the Pelicans before the Achilles, he's still a guy that can still stretch the floor, can still bang a little bit, and is a good veteran presence to have on your team. Because remember, he was part of the Warriors back in 2019 when he went to the NBA Finals. So if I were Chicago and Miami, I would go after Boogie Cousins. And you have Russell Westbrook trade rumors, though. Teams like the Pacers can use Westbrook. Teams like the Kings can use Westbrook a little bit to bring some excitement to them. Even Miles Turner might be traded to them. Miles Turner might be traded from Indiana. The Pacers are in a fire sale. They might trade Sabonis, either Brogdon. They might trade either Turner. So who knows? The Atlanta Hawks are probably going to trade Cam Reddish to the Raiders. He's had a phenomenal year with the Atlanta Hawks this season. They might swap Cam Reddish out. And even I heard this trade rumor with Mitchell Robinson and the Charlotte Hornets. So who knows with that? If that trade were to happen and New York were to trade Mitch, Charlotte will be getting Nick Richards and Ish Smith, which I don't like that move. While while New York, sorry, we will be getting Ish Smith and Nick Richards from New York. We get them, and then Charlotte will get Mitch and Kevin Knox. I don't like that trade if I were the Knicks. And let's talk about and let's see the Houston Rockets, who are just in a dumpster fire. Should they move from Christian Wood and Kevin Porter? They might. They might have to because Kevin Porter is a hothead. He's a good player that can shoot, that can get to the rack. But Kevin Porter's a hothead who thinks he's better than what he is sometimes. And Christian Wood, he's a nice young talent that can get to the basket, that can stretch the floor, that's athletic. And they might trade him. They might trade him somewhere. So we'll see about that. After they got into a confrontation with um the Rockets and the Celtics.
Salute, G Money.
What's going on, man?
So sorry, I just came in here. Just wanted to come in real quick. I wanted to touch on that Christian Wood situation. I know I think with Coach Lucas, keep an eye that I've been mentioning it with that saying is that I think that they're both going to be a part of moving them. You could
Mhm.
get some good players for Christian Wood averaging close to 15 points a game, and
Right.
his salary's at $13 million, and Kevin Porter's still on a rookie contract. I think it's like 1.8 million. So between
Mhm.
both those players, you got close to 16 or $15 million for salary. A team that I know you were mentioning the look at me saying the Bobcats, the Charlotte Hornets.
Mhm.
That they need a center. They need a center.
Yeah.
Although Kevin Porter doesn't entice Charlotte because they have Ball and they also have Terry Rozier and company.
Mhm.
And but if you could $13 million, you could actually play around and move and get some picks. But although here's the thing, that here was a smart move by the New York Knicks that they did was they forced Charlotte to spend more money on Rube and so forth, and
Right.
they don't have the exemption to take on those contracts. And that was a smart move because they really desperately need a center. If I'm New York, I would not send Mitchell Robinson to the Charlotte Hornets. You're not going to
Right.
help a team that's a couple of games ahead of you in the
Mhm.
standings,
Mhm.
and especially if you're going to fleece them. I don't think Ish Smith, no matter how much Clyde Frazier loves saying Ish Smith on the broadcast, I
Mhm.
don't think he's going to help the New York Knickerbockers. They need a starting point guard, yes, but I don't think
Mhm.
Ish Smith is what they need,
Right. He-
and so forth. And what was the other intricate part of that trade for New York that was
There's also Nick, and also some guy named Nick Edwards. I think I don't know who he is. So if
okay?
I were New York and Charlotte, I'm not making. I mean, if Charlotte were to make that move, it helps the Hornets because you get a big man to help out Mason Plumlee. For New York, H. Smith is a decent player, but he's more of a backup, not a starting point
Right,
guard.
right.
So I don't think that would make dividends if you're the Knicks. For the Hornets, if they were to get Mitch, if that were to happen, it gives the Hornets more rebounding and rim protection to help out Mason Plumlee. Because the Hornets, other than really Al Jefferson, they never had a real center that was dominant. Though I mean, Mitch is not dominant, but Mitch is one of your best. If Mitch were to go to Charlotte, if you're Michael Jordan, he would help you clog the paint though, because the Hornets, even though they're a great offensive team, they're not amazing defensively. So you're gonna need some sort of rim protection if the Hornets want to take the next step.
Right. And when you mentioned that, they had a chance with Bismack Biyombo was on there for a while. And so they
Mhm.
just need a center that's going to be there, move in and out. They had a chance. A name. I don't think they'll go for DeMarcus Cousins, but they also had Novell Pale signed with
Mhm.
Utah. Now 10 day hardship exemption. That now that Rudy Gobert came down with the COVID on the protocols, and they signed Norvell Pell. He was out there. It was a name that I thought the Knicks should exploit when all our, before, when we went to those two games in Toronto and OKC. That time that we lost our centers, we didn't have a 7 footer. I was like, whoa, what is Novell Pell doing? He was in the system. He knows how Thibodeau plays. He knows how we play.
Mhm.
They didn't exploit that. So but I'm surprised he was out of
Yep.
that long available, and Utah picks him up. Not a bad place to go. Rudy Gobert, if he goes in there, substitutes well and plays well, I could see a Novell Pell sticking with a Utah going forward, because I didn't thought he wasn't a bad center. He wasn't the greatest either, but he wasn't bad when he played for the
Mhm.
Knicks. He moved the ball around, high energy center, and he's not going to stretch the floor neither. But I liked his energy that he brought on the floor last year, defensively and running up and down, a center that could screen. And if you got Donovan Mitchell, Clark, that screen and rolls and put out a good screen, I think it helps a long way. So I think Novell Pell
Right.
will stick, and I think he'll stick around there. Like I said, I was very surprised. He's good for his limited role. In his role that he needs, a backup center will come in. When you have a Gobert who could play 32 plus minutes on the floor
Mhm.
and sub an extra 10 minutes, give and take how you steal the minutes in between quarters or whatever. I think Novell Pell isn't that bad.
Right, right, right. And don't forget to some Whiteside's been banged up. Like yesterday,
Right.
the Jazz didn't really have their starting much of the starting five because Ingles was out. He's in the protocol. Mitchell didn't play. Gobert, like you said, is in protocol. The Jazz were kind of losing bodies. They were surging, but they're kind of losing bodies. So if you're the Utah Jazz, you're gonna need another center that can help out Gobert and Whiteside. And if the Jazz want to go far in the playoffs, they just need consistency. They need to guard a perimeter because last year in the playoffs, they didn't guard a perimeter against the Clippers. Now you're going to need perimeter defense if you play teams like the Warriors or the Suns, and swarm to the perimeter and fight through screens. If the Jazz want to go for it. And also their offense, I understand they like shooting a bunch of threes. They gotta use more mid-range shots. Clarkson can hit mid-range. Conley can hit mid-range. Mitchell can hit mid-range. They gotta use more mid-range shots, not just only rely on pick and roll with Gobert and jacking up a bunch of outside shots. Because last year and years past, your style of play didn't work. So you gotta change it up a bit if you're the Jazz. And if you're Quinn Snyder, if his team doesn't go far this year, he could be on the hot seat if you're Quinn Snyder. Because think about it, you had the best record in the NBA last year, and then you underachieved in the second round, really due to the fact that you didn't take the Clippers seriously once Kawhi went down. And then the year before in 2020, you blew a 3-1 lead to the Nuggets. I mean, your team has kind of underachieved. Other than 2018 when you beat the Thunder in the first round, the team's underachieved. So this year, there's no excuses for the Utah Jazz if they want to elevate their game and try to get to the NBA Finals for the first time since '98.
I think Gobert. I think Quinn Schneider is going to be fine there. Utah is not going to make a change if you got Utah, and I don't want to say they're complacent, but for their end game, for them to have a successful franchise or what consider for successful season and making playoff appearances after playoff appearances. You saw that with those Utah Jazz with Malone and Stockton. You had dream teamers on the team. They fell short of winning a title, but they found, and you ask them, they feel they're a successful organization, a franchise, because they kept going in winning and winning and winning, never winning the big game, but for some organization,
Mm-hmm.
making playoffs, either how far the playoffs they go is considered a win because they have the arena packed. They treat it as a business, like it should be. NBA team, you should run it as a business, and
Mm-hmm.
if the fans go out there and win, and you have a coach that could get you there to the expectations that they want, they are going to keep. I don't think Snyder will go. And if they go to they go to NBA Finals or win one, that's like a bonus for
Totally
teams
agree.
like Utah, because let's face it, they're not going to bring in any high price free agents, because one is that's not a destination free agents would like to go live in. I'm
Mm-hmm.
pretty sure, and it's no disrespect to the city of Utah or the country, or excuse me, the state of Utah. It's a beautiful
Mm-hmm.
state. I had a relative that lived there. Never visited myself. I have my uncles told me they visited one of my great aunts, and they say it's beautiful. It's a beautiful place. It's wonderful. It's peaceful, and it's just not that much nine life there. Not
Mm-hmm.
it's a non-alcohol city.
Right.
It's dry and all that safe. And I'm not saying that NBA players are alcoholics neither. No, don't get me wrong. But when we get older, occasional want to have a drink or whatever case. It's not the
Right.
reason why players are not going there. And no, that's that
Right.
we're jumping off the topic a little bit, but it's not.
I get it. I get it. I get it.
It's not a
A big time
big
place
time.
for free agents to
Right.
go.
And
But
like my city where I live at, I live in Orlando. You know, it's also a reputation city of not players don't want to come here to live here. Although it personally be living here, it's quiet, it's nice, it's a family atmosphere. If you want to come here, where if you have young children or if you're planning to have a
mm,
family, this is the place. You know, schools are very well, organized. It's very quiet, it's clean. You know, and yeah, it's getting a little congested now, but other than that, and that's everywhere. But Orlando, it's quiet. It's a family
right.
atmosphere. Everybody from work back home, and some places are not like that.
Right, right, right. But another that's great. But another team that's a lot that many people are overhyping is the Golden State Warriors. I mean, Klay Thompson's going to come back tomorrow. First game since Game 6 against the Toronto Raptors when the Warriors lost in six. How do you think Klay Thompson's going to look from his injury?
Ooh, that's $1 million question. If I wish I had I wish I knew exactly, and along with that, with 6 numbers that I could play tonight, perfectly. But I can't wait to see it, G Money, because I want to see how he's gonna come. I think I don't know if he's going to be the NBA All-Star level. It's going to take time.
Mhm,
He's got to build stamina. He's got to be able to, acclimate himself back to the court and get in basketball shape. And it's also a difference, let's see how nerves and adrenaline play a part in his first game back. We're going to need a sample size. You're going to give it about, and that's what the Warriors did, a smart move.
mhm,
I personally think, be honest with you, I think he's been ready for the past 10 games,
mhm,
in my opinion. And I think they wanted to wait for, what is it? 8 to 10 games, we could say,
mhm,
before trading deadline is upon us. So they're gonna give him these games to see how he's looking, how he's acclimated, and that's gonna dictate to see if the Warriors are gonna make a move.
mhm.
Because let's face it, their window is now, no matter what.
Yeah.
Even with Klay Thompson coming back from the injury and Curry's 30, 34, mid 30s, although they have a couple young Kaminga, they got young
Mhm,
players sprinkled in with these veterans, but the nucleus, the core, is in their 30s, Draymond Green and so forth. They have to go for it. Their window is now, although wait a
mhm.
little bit. They have maybe a little bit of a leeway going forward, but it's going to be interesting these next 10 games. We're going to see if they're able to make a move and make a trading deadline. Salute Calvin T. Jones. Salute, my
So
man.
Kel was cracking slacking, man. And by the way, Steph is 33, but I get what you're saying. For me, man, I do think the Warriors have the talent to go far. I just don't think they'll make the NBA Finals. Here's why I say it. Yes, I know they're the core: Steph, Dre, Iggy, Clay. But here's what we have to consider: Jordan Poole hasn't been to the playoffs. We haven't seen Damian Lee in the playoffs. We don't know how Wiseman's going to look from his meniscus injury. He hasn't been to the playoffs. Wiggins had a phenomenal year. He's had an All Star type year with the Warriors, shooting above 40% from downtown. However, and he's averaging around 20 points per game. However, he's only been to the playoffs one time. That was what, 2018 with the T Wolves. I don't know how he's gonna look in the postseason though. I do think that if the Warriors can stay healthy and Clay could look 80% of himself,
Okay.
they can go far. But personally for me, I don't see NBA Finals this season. Maybe next year, but this season I just don't see it though, because I just think that there's too many guys on that team other than the core that doesn't have enough playoff experience.
I can see that argument, and also I could tell you that um, they got, at least they have the nucleus intact that knows how to win to get to that. I can see, can we pencil them in at least to second round and Western Conference Final? I could see that.
I can see that.
You
I
could tell
say
me that.
second round comes on, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then anyway, any team that gets to the conference, their conference finals, I think it's a crapshoot. You roll the dice because you made it to the conference final. Anything can happen. It can matter even if it's Brooklyn and Milwaukee. Let's say, for instance, in the Eastern Conference, anything can happen, or any team that just gets to that or to their conference finals, they have a puncher's chance of getting to the NBA Finals, because now you're going with wit, determination, grit. Now, of
Mhm,
course, talent always wins out in a 7-game series, but
mhm.
when you get that far, man, if you're under inspiration and you're just a hot team, anything can happen.
Possible, and also depends on matchup. You want to get the best matches if you can, though. I mean, the Bucks did have playoff experience though, Calvin. Because here's what I have to consider: Tucker went to the conference final with the Rockets. Giannis Middleton went to the conference final in 2019, and they've been to the playoffs before. Drew Holiday went to the playoffs with the Sixers and the Pelicans. Brooke Lopez went to the playoffs with the Brooklyn Nets, though. And you also have and who else? Pat Connaughton been to the playoffs with the Portland Trailblazers, and then with the Milwaukee Bucks. And also Budenholzer, he used to coach the Atlanta Hawks that won 60 games. They were in the conference final, so the Bucks had playoff experience. Maybe not finals experience, but they had playoff experience to give them an advantage over the Phoenix Suns, though. So that's what I'm saying. The Warriors, and again, I understand they have the core, and that's why I think they can go to the second round of conference final. My only thing is this: teams are going to double Steph Curry in the playoffs, though. They're not going to allow Steph Curry to just roam through the perimeter. I know Klay Thompson's a great shooter, and we cannot deny his splashing ability. Consider the fact that you need your legs to help you shoot the ball and get the elevation. We don't know how that's going to work. And also, and here's the thing: the Warriors share the ball very, very well. We can agree on that, but they can be turnover prone sometimes. And teams like the Suns, who I'm picking to go to the NBA Finals again, can be physical with them and get into transition. And another team you should not sleep on: the Memphis Grizzlies. I want to ask you: do you think they can get to the conference final? The Memphis
No,
Grizzlies.
no, I don't. I gotta see it to believe it. When it comes to the Western Conferences, I think it's going to be more chalk. Than and then we it's going to be. It looks more like it's going to be Phoenix and Golden State Conference Finals. That second round series is going to be very interesting. Do I see the Memphis Grizzlies in that second round series? Possible, but we got plenty of basketball to talk about when we get to those playoff because we got gonna have weeks. We got weeks to go to get back into our finals. But as of right now, guys, that's the temperature of the Western Conference. We'll take that temperature weekly to see and how we
Mhm.
think because anything can happen week to week. We don't know. We could have a big trading situation here that will shake the foundation of the NBA. You never know. We don't know what kind of trade is available that it might tip the scales. We could probably be next week. We could be talking about the Los Angeles Lakers. They always they got their finger in every little and
And
every
they're surging 4 straight wins. They're starting
right.
to turn things around.
Right. They're starting to turn things around. They get their names in every little trade availability. If player 15 on the G League is available, the Lakers are interested for some reason. I don't know if it's the media hype or what the case is, but they're always looking to try to improve, make a trade, wheel and deal. And
Mhm.
it'd be interesting to see. Don't count the Lakers out. Westbrook,
Mhm.
he looks pathetic sometimes, but he just sometimes get going where enough where he could catapult a team to not a final but to a playoff, and then
Mhm.
he uses enough energy. That's why I think is his consistency um, puzzles and frustrates organizations and team because you're like,
Mhm.
man, you when he's on, he's like Oscar Robertson, and
Yeah.
the proof is in the pudding with all the triple doubles. And when he's off, boy, he looks like
Deer in headlights sometimes.
Andrea Bagnani out there. It's like, my
Sure,
goodness.
Bayani. Yeah, Bayani.
Hey,
Yeah. And here's the thing with the Lakers. Now they're starting to after they started slow, they started to move the ball better. Their defense is improving a little bit, not a whole lot, but it's improving a little bit. And also LeBron James, he's not breaking a sweat. The King looks rejuvenated. He looks like he's trying to get his team to the playoffs, trying to get him deep in the playoffs. And Malik Monk and Avery Bradley played great this season, though.
right.
Malik Monk has been big time, hit some clutch threes, athletic freak. I remember he had the vicious dunk he had last night to put the Lakers up 20 to end the game. And then THT, he started off a little bit slowly, but he's now starting to find his rhythm a little bit. And Avery Bradley, he's a hard-nosed bloodhound. Can hit the three ball, can lock you up, and
Let me
hit the minutes.
let me ask you a question with that. What's the age of Avery Bradley right now? Can you find out for me? I have a point. I just wanted the reason why I'm asking.
Avery Bradley is 31 years old.
All right. And Malik, my point is, Los Angeles is getting inspired and playing with the younger players. I mean, let's face it, 31 years old is right at the peak. That's why I
Mhm.
asked for Bradley's age. But Malik Monk is a young guy. And if Los Angeles wants to turn things around, I think they're gonna have to use their youth. Whatever youth they have on the
Mhm.
team. And you saw
Right.
Isaiah Austin Rivers, excuse me, Isaiah Austin Rivers, Austin Rivers,
Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves.
Austin Reeves. Tongue twisted, guys.
It's
You
all right.
know,
It's all right.
he hit that game winner at the buzzer. LeBron a couple weeks ago back.
Against the Mavericks, yeah.
Yeah, and so forth. They're going to need those type of young players to help
Hmm.
them pick up the slack if they start playing well and help the younger veterans. And then you sprinkle. That's why it's interesting when you have a vet team, you have to sprinkle youth in it because let's face it, the NBA is so much a youth movement league. Of course, you're gonna
Hmm.
need wisdom and you're gonna need that experience, that vet. But man, the guys are becoming more athletic, more quicker, and more diverse. And if for LeBron, for his age, the way he's so savvy, you sprinkle that youth and athleticism with him, and man, that's why it takes it to another dimension, another level of success. And maybe the Lakers might unlock something here in the second half.
Hmm.
That's why we can't panic too much. There's still, and we're not even at the halfway point in the NBA in games wise. There's still 40
Hmm.
plus games left in the National Basketball Association, and I think we need more. Teams are going to start figuring out, and that's why coming up soon, you're going to start seeing teams asserting themselves and getting into a little bit of a separation. You're already
Hmm.
starting to see the Chicago Bulls starting to separate a little bit. Kudos to them, winning 9 games in a row and being in the top of the Eastern Conference.
Hmm.
And I think Los Angeles, I don't think they're going to make any noise too much, but they're going to start climbing, and you're going to see them
Oh yeah.
in the middle, lower middle part of the Western Conference going forward.
Right. And they also have the experience. I mean, I understand they've been inconsistent, but they also have the experience. LeBron's been in the playoffs, Westbrook, Melo, Howard, don't forget about him, Bradley, these guys, Malik Monk hasn't been to the playoffs, he'll get his first chance this year. Yeah, but another thing they need a healthy Anthony Davis. If the Lakers want to go far, AD has to be consistent. Yes, he's averaging 24-10, but it doesn't feel impactful. He needs to go back into the 2020 AD when he was blocking shots, hitting mid-range, hitting his threes if the Lakers want to have an NBA Finals run. Because the Lakers might not win next year because the Warriors will gain more experience. The Suns will still be there. The Clippers might be healthier next year. The Jazz will be better. So if you're the Lakers, your time is now. If you want to win another title, your time is now. If the Lakers want to make the right moves, and personally for me, if the Lakers were to make a trade, I would either trade for these players, either Miles Turner, Sabonis. This. I don't know if this is going to happen. De'Aaron Fox, Malcolm Brogdon, or Norman Powell. What do you
Bro-
think?
Brogdon cannot get traded until next summer because of the extension that this summer. He can't be traded this season because of the extension he
Okay.
received. So he's out of the table.
Okay.
I'm very glad you brought up the Pacers because there was a lot of reports I saw. I think it was Fanside and other different. The Lakers might be considering being a trade partner with the Pacers, but it's going to be for Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis will go to Los Angeles. You put Sabonis with LeBron and maybe a Karis LeVert, and you might have to send more pieces with the Lakers. I think they're actually improved. Might be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, with Anthony Davis, I know you're still sending a building block for the Pacers. You got to give something to get something, and you
Right.
send
Right.
it over there. You might have something just enough for LeBron to win because Sabonis is
Mm-hmm.
that type of player.
Mm-hmm.
It's not no Anthony Davis, guys. Don't rip me, don't kill me for that. But he's a poor version or an equal version of Julius Randle.
Yeah,
If you tell me
I
that
agree.
and you put him with a LeBron James there and playing and whoever else comes, even if you bring a wing player like Karis LeVert, that you might have to give up something else, whatever the case to make the salary matches. It's not a bad team for the Los Angeles Lakers in the West, because you have the main guy, the third best player in the NBA currently right now, LeBron James, and then you're bringing a top 25 player in Sabonis,
Mm-hmm.
and a top 35 in Karis LeVert. That's a good team there. Yeah,
And you might still keep Westbrook. And I'm sorry, and not to interrupt you,
no, you good.
Jedi. Not to interrupt you, Sabonis can help you pass the ball. He's an underrated rebounder. He can also stretch the floor. He's not a great shooter, but he's decent. He can hit the free throws, and he can bang in the post. The Lakers just need someone that can bang in the post, though, if they want to go far. And they needed somebody that could take the pressure off LeBron to not do everything. I mean, Malik Monk has had a great season. He's had a phenomenal year. Avery Bradley's had a good year. And even Carmelo Anthony, even though Melo's been struggling as of late, Melo's in Staples Center, now called Crypto.com Arena. He plays well at home. He can hit the three. He can still create his own shot. He just needs to be more consistent on the road if the Lakers want to have a long run. But I think the Karis LeVert Sabonis move will be good because Karis LeVert can also create his own shot too, and he can hit the mid range shot too, and he can give you 20 to 25 when he wants to too.
And then for the Pacers, yeah, they're gonna punt this season, but now you have a
Yeah.
nucleus, a pretty nice nucleus. You got Anthony Davis, Brogdon, Chris Duarte,
Hmm.
and some picks. And if they don't move, Miles, then they'll move Miles Turner. Maybe they'll pick up a Nolan Noel, or if you want to send them on to Robinson, you could engage New York on that situation.
Hmm.
And fourth, or if they move Turner to Charlotte or whatever the case is.
Hmm.
Now, you got good pieces there, or even if
Right.
they want to go, a twin tower type of deal, Mitchell Robinson and Anthony Davis, because now you have a stretch four that could stretch, and you could let Mitchell Robinson do what he does, or
Hmm.
even Nolan Snowell protecting the rim to pick up the slap on
Right.
that he played. So we don't know, we don't know. I'm just hypothetically speaking out there.
Right. Right.
This is what we're doing right now,
Right.
but
Right.
so the Pacers could help build their, and they could start building something for Rick Carlisle if Rick
Hmm.
Carlisle wants to do something like that, and also will help the Lakers. So that keep an eye on those things there on that trade front and that availability going forward. Let me
Hmm.
ask you another team that we're gonna see them now 2 games in a row up close and personal. Do you think, boy, especially if they lose tonight, the Celtics? I don't think
Hmm.
Tatum and Brown might work. They have
I
enough.
agree.
They have enough something there. They have enough of either one of them too.
I
And I
agree.
think Boston wants to do that, but they're afraid of picking the wrong one to trade. It's like when
Right.
I know you might be a little too young. It's like when we had Spreewell and Allen Houston. There was a time
Hmm.
that the Knicks had to make and they did make, they ended up staying with Houston. But like, one of these two got to go. We got two of the same
Yeah, we
good
traded people to
players.
the Timberwolves, I think.
Right, to the Minnesota. Correct.
Hmm.
And I think that's what's going on with Boston, not to that level of New York, because let's face it, I think Spreewell might have been, his best days were almost behind him, and
Yeah.
but Tatum and Brown are two phenomenal players. We saw them up close and personal, both dropping almost 30 points apiece in different games, and at times, having career games against the Knicks at times, but. They need to make a decision. They got to pick one of the two, and it'll be interesting to see if they actually have the moxies to pull that trigger.
If you're the Celtics, you might have to make a move. To me, there's reasons what Boston has to do. They need to work on their bench. Their bench is bad. They need to work on their bench. They need another rim protector. I mean, you got Robert Williams, Time Lord, who was reversing time against the Knicks, but need another rim protector. And like you said, Tatum or Brown, if they were to trade one, if they had to trade one, this is gonna be tough, man. Who would they trade? Um, whew, that's tough.
It depends on the vision. What's the vision of the Boston Celtics? Because, you know, my question is, can Brown move to the small forward, or can Tatum move to the smooth shooting guard? Vice versa. Which one without will work? And who do you get in return? Do they want a power forward for either Brown or Tatum?
You
You
might have
know,
to.
and they want a power forward. And I got a power forward that I'm willing to get rid of.
So what? Would you do a Jalen Brown or Tatum for Julius Randle trade?
Of course, he could fit in with the Boston. He could fit in. He could thumbs
With
down
the
all he
Celtics, yeah.
wants, and when he comes to New York, he could thumbs up down us, because we dislike the Boston, from the Red Sox to the Celtics to the Bruins to the Patriots, and it'll be perfect.
Sure, because Randall. I mean, I don't hate Boston, but I get what you're saying, man. Randall will help the Celtics with passing. He can hit the mid range. He can occasionally hit the three. He can hit threes. When his head is in the game, he can bang in the post. So if you're Boston, you might have to consider trading for like a guy like Julius Randle or something. If you're Boston, because currently construct this team's not going anywhere. Because the Celtics are kind of underachieved in years past. 2018, they overachieved getting to the conference final without Kyrie, Hayward, and Tice. They were a win away from the NBA Finals. And then 2019, you're virtually healthy. You get destroyed by the Bucks in the second round. And then 2020, in the bubble, you get to the conference final, but you lose to the Heat in six. And then last year, again, I know Jalen Brown got hurt, but they got waxed by the Nets in five, predictable, in the first round. And then this year, I mean, look at this. Boston right now, the Celtics right now are 11th in the East. So if the season would end right now, they would not be in the playing. And here's you want to hear this, man. 4 games this season, the Celtics had led by 19 or more and lost. That's impossible.
Right. They
Four
don't.
games this
Right.
season.
And it's funny because they
Yeah,
got two guys. Sorry to interrupt. They got two
look at
guys
that.
who are
Sorry.
closers. G Money.
Right.
Go ahead.
No, you're right, and also they lack leadership. The Celtics don't have a leader. They don't have a guy that can bring the team together. And even Ime Udoka, their head coach, even said they lack leadership and stuff. And I agree with them. I mean, look at the game in New York. You had a 25-point lead. You were sharing the ball, find the open man, and then you collapse in the second half because you want to shoot a bunch of outside shots and threes. That's not how it works with the Celtics. You gotta use more mid range, attack the basket, break through the T to the D, get to the line. The only guy that I saw get into the line in the second half was really Jason Tatum. That was it. Everyone else was just jacking up a bunch of threes, and that's not the way to go. That led to the RJ Barrett game winning shot. And Evan Fournier, who loves playing the Green Leprechauns, has hit some tough shots against. He had 41 on Thursday night against them. So if the Celtics want to turn things around, they're going to need to fix their bench, maybe get another rim protector, and you have to consider trade Tatum or Brown because you can't think that keeping the same team's going to work. It's not. It's not
Right. Right.
because it's not going to work because the roster just doesn't fit. They don't have the IQ in close games, and so thus why they are struggling. I mean, here's how bad it is if you're the Celtics. How are the Toronto Raptors better than you? They're 1917. Think about that. Toronto, Washington, and Charlotte have better records than Boston, and even Cleveland too. That's impossible if you're the Celtics, man. But,
Well, and here's real quick. Here's
but
one thing about that. Milwaukee has size.
yeah,
Cleveland has size.
yeah,
Toronto has size. We saw it up close and personal.
hmm
The only team that doesn't really have size that are ahead of us is the Hornets. Hornets are desperate need of a center, and they're desperate. Wizards just got Greg Monroe. They're missing they're missing size right now, but the teams are bunched from eight down to. Well, I'm surprised that, but the Hawks are just totally they
dysfunctional.
they're dysfunctional right now. We could leave that in a minute. We'll get to them in a second. But these
Right.
teams from the Celtics all the way to the Hornets, a bunch of teams there. All these three teams all have something similar, and
hmm
and they're missing size. And I think if you want to be top echelons teams, you need length and you need size there. Brooklyn, because of course they got a big three, phenomenal offensive players, and,
hmm
and and they're not too brag home nothing about with size, but they have Aldridge, who's veteran and,
hmm
and so forth. But that's they because they just have the top one of the three of the top 10 players in the NBA on their
hmm
roster. But that's another situation. But the point is, we need length and size there, and that's what the problem is. And also New York and Boston kind of similar.
hmm
They need point guards to
Right.
get their players going.
hmm
And what's showing is the lack of nobody in the late games have any long post threats.
They
Back
don't.
in the day,
Nope.
you even though it was a hacker Shaq or hacker Howard, at least you had the ball. There was a threat. You try to get easy
hmm
balls down in the paint to score. Salute to Worldwide L. Salute
Still
Lawrence.
worldwide L. What's shaking and bacon, man?
Thank you for dropping in and saying hello on a Saturday, man. Appreciate it, man. I hope you're doing well. And these two teams are the same. That's why you got to keep an eye on Boston because Boston could turn around right to the Pacers and get Sabonis. You put Sabonis with either Brown or
I like
Jalen
that move.
in there, and if they could even apply, I don't think they have the money because I think that's when the Knicks were smart, signing trade with Boston to take that trade exemption away from them. So I don't think they
hmm
could trade for Miles Turner's money. But anyway, by hook or crook, you get a Sabonis in there with a Brown or a Tatum. With a Robin Williams that you saw, and dare I say, even they got to give up a smart for or part of it, send
hmm
to Indiana and bring back a Karis LeVert. Boston now looks different.
Yeah. Yeah, but it also depends. It also trades, man. It also depends where you're at in the season. If the
Right.
season looks kind of over, though, then I don't think the trade would matter. But if you're like right there, then Boston should pull the trigger, and that's the thing. And let's go on to the next team, the Atlanta Hawks, the team that you thought was not going to make the playoffs, and so far, caw, they're making you right, man. So far, the Atlanta Hawks, man. There's reasons why this team is struggling. They don't guard the interior. They give up too many drives and layups. They give up open threes. I mean, look at this. They started off 11-9. They're 6-12 in the last 18 games, and now they're 17-21 in the season. Last year, Atlanta started off 14-20, and then they went blistering, went 27-11 and went 41 games and got to the conference final. And arguably, you could argue if they were healthy, they might have made the NBA finals. You can argue that, but that's in the past. But this year, again, I understand it dealt with the protocols, but everything's dealt with that. They just haven't had the consistency, and they don't. Here's the problem with the Hawks. This team, to me, needs a forward, and also they need another rim protector to help out Clint Capella. If the Hawks want to get to that next step, they need a forward and a rim protector. Because Trae Young is doing everything. He's done a good job position the rock. He can get to the lane, can hit the floater. My only thing with Trae needs to work on is his defense and also not to take too many long threes. But Trae's had a good season. But he needs that help consistently if the Atlanta Hawks want to get to the next step. What do you think?
Yeah, my thing was with I didn't like the Hawks in the beginning of the season. I said that before the pregame, pre-season, right before the season started. I
Mm-hmm.
remember you laughed at me on that one, but
Yeah, it was.
he's who laugh, last best. But there's plenty of basketball left to talk about though with that. With the Hawks, one thing I saw is because it's because of the coaching. Nate
Mm-hmm.
McMillan, I seen that show before in Indiana, and I
Mm-hmm.
just personally didn't believe in the coach, and I thought something was going to, they this is a typical McMillan. He comes in there, he gets hot, and I just thought the coaching was they just got inspired last year in a short season. Everything broke really
Mm-hmm.
well for the Hawks, and now they're talking about Danilo Gallinari. I thought he's aged really bad
Yeah, he's been
this
old.
year, and Cram Reddish is their only bargaining chip because they have Herter and they also have Hunter, and they have too much of the same, too many of the same position, and that's a luxury that they could try to move to bring something that they need. They, like you said, John Collins is a really good player, a really good strong player for them. Although I think he's more of a shooting guard in my opinion, and they need a low post threat, power forward as well, like you mentioned, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. They just something like you said. Maybe they need those type of deals there. And look for Atlanta Hawks. I still think that they won't make the playoffs. I think they'll be straight out 11. For some
Mm-hmm.
reason, and they just won't make it. And everyone, because you saw 56 points from Trey Young, and they still lost. He had a
14 assists too. Don't
yeah,
forget about that. To
and
the
it's for
Blades
yeah,
without
yeah,
Baines and CJ. That's
yeah,
embarrassing. How do you
yeah.
allow? I mean, Simons is a good player, but how do you allow Anthony to drop 43 on your biscuit and get open threes? They just the problem with the Hawks, like you said, man. They just they just need another forward. They just don't play defense. They're one of the worst defensive teams in the NBA. Bottom five. I think they're bottom five in defense. It's like this team gives up open threes. They don't rotate. What helped them last year, I know they were 21st in defense last year, but if you watch the games in the second half of the season, they were much better defensively. This season, I'm not seeing them connect though. And like I said, they need another rim protector to help out Clint
Right.
Capella.
I,
They
I,
need a
I'm
rim
I'm
protector.
glad you mentioned that because Joe Curry mentioned a little earlier as well. I put his thing there. I
Mhm.
also heard from the organization, the Magic organization, that Mo Bamba is not fitting in.
Right.
They want to move from him, and not because he can't play, he just doesn't fit the style of play that they want to use Mo Bamba in. And they're not, and he's just like, they could just get something for him. He's gonna be an interesting name to play. As I
Mhm.
continue, can you find out Mo Bamba's salary? I know he's still on his rookie contract, but
Let's see.
exactly his salary availability. Mo Bamba could shoot the three, space the floor, score.
Mombamba has a 7.7 million salary.
Okay, so Kevin Knox is at 5.6 million dollars. I believe Kevin Knox is a native of Florida from the Tampa Bay area, just about an hour away,
Mhm.
to Orlando from Tampa, and I don't know if I'll find out more. If Orlando, what they think of Kevin Knox going forward. But
Mhm.
remember, they're in a total rebuild. They have a lot of point guards.
Yeah.
They need size. I don't know why would they want to get rid of a Mobamba, but they're right now. They say that's the only trade asset that could actually bring them something. Although I think Cole Anthony is a trade trip, but they're building around him. They're building.
Yeah.
Jonathan Isaac hasn't stepped minute on the floor, but they like they holding him back as trying to keep the what you call it, the bubble wrap around him when he's ready,
Mm-hmm.
when they're ready to go and send and have unleash him as well. And they got players. Marquis Folks also hasn't played, I don't think, yet for the Magics this
The
season.
Markel Fultz, yeah, he hasn't played yet.
No.
And for the Magic, they gotta trade Terrence Ross. If I were Terrence Ross, you gotta get out of Orlando.
Um,
What team?
he
Yeah.
likes it there. The thing is, here's the thing on inside. He likes being in the city of Orlando. It's not that he needs to get out of here. He enjoys living here. He enjoys all what comes around with being in Orlando, the schools for his family. He likes everything that he's at that moment that part of his career that he likes that tranquil, likes to
Mm-hmm.
go do his job, be a constant professional, go out there and play,
Mm-hmm.
and he doesn't want to be moved. He would have been moved last season. There was a lot of interest in him, and
Mm-hmm.
he asked the and he does not have a full trade clause, but he asked them if they could just keep him there. He's willing to do whatever role. That's why he could easily start for the Magic and
Right.
come on and even get more numbers. But that's why he says he likes the role that he's in. He doesn't mind coming along and helping and letting other players develop in front of him, as long as he
Mm-hmm.
gets his, closes out and provides that offense that the Magic need. So that's why he's definitely not on the move, guys. So
All right.
salute A and B. Let's quickly say hello
Salute
to
A
a
and
few
B.
people. A and
Salute
B.
Joe Curry, Kelvin, Switchlight Media. Salute. Thank
What's
you, man.
going on?
Thank
Salute,
you.
salute.
Woo, Nelly.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. And some people say, and Kelvin thinks that Trey needs to move to the shooting guard position for the Hawks. Do I seem as a catch and shoot player compared to him being ball dominant?
I like him with the ball though, Calvin. Thank you,
I don't
Swiss
think it's a
Life.
catch and shoot.
Welcome to the B Exports Jedi family. Salute. And we do a watch along as well tonight at
Mhm.
7:30 with the Knicks versus the Celtics. If you're free, if you're available, come on in, and also everyone in the chat will be here
Even
as
tonight,
well. And
you could come in tonight today in my show if you wanted to.
yeah, let us know if anyone's interested to come on. Worldwide L, anyone, let us know. We'll post the link. We'll make sure we verify that you and you're more than welcome to come on and enjoy G Money on stream. So let us know if you're
Mhm.
more interested, and let's do it.
Right, right, right. But back to Kelvin's question, I just think he's more with the ball. I don't think he's an off-ball type player. I think he's more effective with the ball. So I think that you gotta keep Trey at the one because he can pass. Yes, I understand he's a scorer, but he can dish, he can penetrate, do a lot of driving kicks. He can pass the ball. It's not like he's just more of a. It's not like he's just a shooter and score. He can pass, so you might want to keep him at the one. They just need, to me, they need a four and they need another center that can protect the rim because Capella can protect the rim. He's athletic, but teams can foul him, and he's not a great free throw shooter. So I think Atlanta needs to make another move. And do you think they should get Ben Simmons though? The
He was,
Hawks.
yeah. Remember, we mentioned that we broke that a little earlier. CBS Sports, uh, Atlanta Hawks has checked in and asked to see if he's available. What's the availability there? It'll be interesting to see what what package will be around it. I don't know. It has to be Collins. Has to be a name that has to go back because
Yeah,
they just signed him for a long extension. They just signed him over the summer. They gave him an extension. I don't know. I don't know what their cap situation is, and it'd be interesting. Maybe this is a three-team team that has to get involved and so forth. We shall
yeah.
see with that.
They gave Collins a 5 year, $125 million deal in the summer. So that yeah,
And
twenty five
also, they
million per
they
year.
before but prior to that, the year before, remember they bought in Bogdanovich. They made a
Mhm.
lot of moves. They made some Capella. They gave money to, so they have a lot of guys tied in right now. The current starters that I don't know if they're how cap strapped they are. That's why Cam Reddish is the name, an expiring contract for rookie expiring contract available that has a lot
Mhm.
of value. You saw his name, an expiring Delino Donagarni, who, let's face it, his better days are behind him.
Yeah,
You
the
know,
dude shooting 41% from the field. Gallinari. I mean, Gallinari is a good shooter, but like you said, he's getting old. His days are behind him. This isn't Gallinari from New York when he was dunking on cast, stretching the floor. I mean, he's shooting well from three, but 41% from the field, nah, man.
but he was actually really better first half of last year too. He was pretty
He
good last
was,
year. He was
he
pretty
was.
good, but this year, maybe it's because the way he plays the Knicks. But the time that I seen him on the floor against the Knicks, I wasn't really impressed. It's like,
Yeah.
I'd rather him shoot the ball than Trey. Okay, give the ball
Mhm.
to Gallinari. I will worry the consequences on that with the Hawks there. And we just finished talking a little bit about the Magics. They of course they're rebuilding. They're totally
Mhm.
totally a rebuild team. They have a lot of assets there, trade chips or building blocks. Mo Bamba, Ross. But like I said, when I mentioned earlier, he's not. I don't. He doesn't want to leave, but he does whatever best detriment to the team.
Right.
I've seen a lot of people liked him for the Knicks, but I think I think our Terrence Ross is Alec Burks.
Pretty
And I
much.
think
I don't think that's gonna
we don't.
happen.
He's not a fit for New York. Mo Bamba is a fit if
Mhm.
if we want to stay with the same and we're out of the but we might as well get the Mouse Turner if you ask me. Although we're bringing in a Mo Bamba from New York, but then it's another what if.
Mhm.
We need if this team with the Knicks, we need something established. We need an
Right.
established player already that we know. And get to that and either catch and pick and shoot and pick and roll. Yeah, if we do get a center like that,
Pretty nice.
we want someone who could actually set up a really good picks and free
Mhm.
because we have a lot of good shooters, but it's the pick and roll. We need guys that could pick and allow our shooters to
Yeah,
run
so
around the
our big
curl.
men don't pick very great. I mean, we
No,
have don't pick very well, and
yeah,
when you don't pick well, then the ball handler's not gonna have freeway to go to the rack, though.
right. And you can't put that all on Todd Gibson because Todd Gibson is the best pick, screener in the whole team. And at times Julius, when Julius is really engaged and playing, he could be a good, a screener. But we need guys who could. We need a center. Mitchell Robinson, let's face it, he's a terrible screener.
Yes,
And with
yes.
Nolan's Noel, you want to screen me, I'm just going to go around you because I know they're not going to give you the ball on offense. So that's the only difference with that when it comes to the Knickerbockers. And but we shall see. Mobamba's interesting. Miami, we're talking about Miami. Miami's quiet. When Miami's quiet, you got to be careful.
And Miami, and speaking of that, they've been quiet all year.
Yeah,
They're a sneaky team. They're
they're under the
24 and
radar.
15. They're number 4 in the East. They need to just get healthy. Jimmy Butler, they're lucky he didn't hurt his because remember he got hurt against the Warriors. They're lucky he wasn't in Achilles because he slipped. They're lucky he wasn't in Achilles, so he will be fine. Bam Adebayo has a UCL injury, so we're gonna see how he look when he comes back. And Duncan Robinson, if Miami wants to go far, he needs to break out of his slump. Duncan Robinson's just not shot well really all season, and he's made some clean looks because usually he's a pure shooter that can hit the open catch and shoot. I mean, think about it, he's shooting 38% from the field and 35% from three. If Miami wants to go far, Robinson has to break out of his funk. But Tyler Hero's been huge this season. Tyler Hero's been much more assertive this year compared to last year. I felt last year the expectations are too much and he just didn't play well. This year, now you see he's shooting more fluently. He's getting to the basket. So I think Tyler Hero's played well with the Miami Heat this season. And if Miami and they have good defense, Tucker is great defender, can hit the corner three. Lowry, good defender, can hit the free, can create his own shot. Morris, good defender, can hit the three. What Miami needs is another center, in my opinion, and maybe to revamp their bench. If they can fix their bench a little bit and get another center, the Miami Heat are going to be NBA Finals contenders.
Okay, yeah, and right now they're on the radar. We have, of course, on the radar because us as me, Knick fans, we have not seen them this season. So we
Mm-hmm.
got half a season left, and we have 4 games with the Miami Heat going coming up pretty soon. So
Mm-hmm.
wow, that's going to be interesting there. I'm hopefully everything goes well. I'll go to all those Miami Heat games, and when New York comes, if they're weekend games, I'll make the trip to Miami and be in attendance. Hopefully I'm able to get down there. If the tickets they don't outprice me, but other than that, it'll be interesting to see New York and Miami the way they go at it, and hopefully we get revamped.
Mm-hmm.
As Knick fans that we are. But let's get back to the league there. It's the hoop show, so we're talking about a little bit
Right.
about everybody around the league.
Right.
Let's talk about we talked about the Hornets. They need a center.
Center. Right.
They need a center because that's what they really need. They need someone to rim protector to protect their rim. They're a really interesting team with that. Oof,
What
and
about the Mavs? What do you think the Mavs need? Right. I mean, they've been red hot. They've won 5 in a row. Luka's just not been healthy all year. KP's been up, banged up. The Mavericks, they have shooting. What the Mavericks needs to score because they're one of the worst offensive teams in the league. And I think they need another guy that can protect the rim to help out Porzingis a little bit, though. So,
here
what do you think the Mavericks need?
here's the problem there. The Mavericks are a good team, but there's other than Luka Doncic, who in the end who on your team you really would like to have on your who on the roster NBA teams really clamming for like I gotta have XY player.
Yeah,
Exactly. And
Yeah, I
that's the
mean,
problem Dallas has. Who can they engage other that a team finds their players attractive and wanting? And I'm sorry to say that that's the problems kind of what the Knicks have right now.
mhm,
And Kelvin, you wrote, I'm speaking it and you typing it. Beautiful. That's why you're part of the Jedi Network family. That's why
mhm.
that's what makes us the family because we're on ESP. We think about it. And of course, our
And speaking of the Mavs, we'll see them on ESPN on Wednesday in the Garden. So
right. And
yeah,
right.
the
So it'd be
yeah.
interesting to see those two. And could this is what I think, G Money.
Mhm.
I think the Dallas Mavericks gonna have to, if they want to make a trade and make a move, they have to take one step or two steps back this season in order if they want to take a couple, or at least two leaps forward in the future. If they want to make a trade or if not stay put.
Okay, you make some good points there, but I think can we get Luca? No, we're not getting Luca Doncic. That's not. We ain't. We get. I wish we get Luca the Don, but sadly the Mavericks won't let him. But won't let him go.
We can't even get
Um,
Lucas Samanik up here.
man. Man, I can't. I wish we had Lucas Manage, but back to the White Stallions from Dallas, the Dallas Mavs. The Mavericks to me, they gotta get out the first round. Okay, last year they were up 2-0 and 3-2 on the Clippers. They had home games, couldn't get it done, and then they got blown out in Game 7. This year they started off slowly, but they're starting to turn things around. The Mavericks, to me, remember, Lucas signed a big contract extension in the off season. Luca signed a Luka Doncic
200,
signed
200
a
plus, 200.
5-year,
Yeah,
$207 million deal
yeah.
in the off season. The Mavericks, to me, need to build a championship team around Luka Doncic to keep him to stay. Because currently construct did not win the title this season. Can we agree on that? They're not going far this year. So they
No,
got to create more depth around Luca. Maybe get another star. I'm not saying super team, but to get another star. And Luca himself needs to stay healthy because he's been banged up this season a lot. He needs to stay healthy, needs to lose some weight because I felt that the weight gain has kind of caused him to be a little bit more up and down this year compared to last year when he was an MVP, when he was great. He needs to lose some weight and needs to work on his 3-point shot. I understand he can hit step back threes, but if you notice, he's not a great 3-point shooter. He needs to hit more, needs to use more of the mid range, needs to hit more top of the key threes. And the Mavs need to revamp around him. Tim Hardaway is good, but he's too inconsistent. Kleba, he's decent, but Maxi Kleba, he's just a role player. The Mavericks, to me, need another star to build around Luka Doncic. What do you think?
Yeah, but here's the issue. They don't really have draft picks. We own their draft picks coming up. Not this year, the following year.
We'll burn them, I guess.
Salute Garden of Knicks, Tony Wu in the building. Salute Tony Wu. Thank you for coming aboard. Thank you for joining us this Saturday afternoon. Hope you're having a beautiful afternoon. A little bit seasonally chilly down in the city. Beautiful. And, mid 70s, and this morning was a little brisk. But salute to Tony
Mm-hmm.
Wu, one of our fellow Floridians down here with me
Mm-hmm.
down here. So they don't have a lot of their draft picks, and the problem is when you're a mediocre team and you're staying that mediocre hell of the NBA, mid-range type of deal. You saw that with the Magics as well. We saw in the
Mm-hmm.
Magics, they got into the playoffs, seventh, eighth team, and you don't really draft that high. You really got to trust your scouting organization to scout good players and develop. And sometimes you don't get the player that really gonna fit or make an impact until maybe after their rookie contract is over. And sometimes you got to think about, should I sign them or should I not sign them? And they end up becoming role players in the
Mm-hmm.
NBA, which is nothing wrong. But when you have a generational type of player like a Luka Doncic, you got
Mm-hmm.
to try to surround him with the best available players
Mm-hmm.
around him. But that's gonna be tough. What, and teams are not going to help the Mavericks, win like that. Give them something really good without fleecing them and getting something back. And I don't think the Mavericks have enough draft capitals to be fleeced to bring someone in
Right,
there.
right, right.
That's why, no matter how much we talk about the Knickerbockers, we have 7 draft picks in the next few years. And
Yes.
draft picks, we keep hoarding, and good job by Perry and now the organization, Rose and company for getting more draft picks, moving back, willing and dealing in this draft class, and getting more of these picks. Because now we have capital. We have capital and availability to trade and move for and make a move, and that's what Dallas is missing. Dallas will, you telling me players will love to play with him? Of course we could, as we're going to bring in our third man in the program.
Right, right.
Z.
Z, what's going on, homie?
Not much, just oh, excuse me, sorry. Had the
Ooh,
hiccups, but
that's the lunch. Good lunch
that's
today.
literally the
Good
first
lunch.
time
What
I had
there's
hiccups.
a lot of teams that
That's
have some
terrible
hiccups.
timing right there. I'm sorry. But
You're
just
fine, man. You're fine.
got home from Milo's game and then we went to do a few other things, but Milo
Awesome.
won again, so
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Did you get technically fouled out of the game?
no, and you're not gonna believe this, but I got a ref to cuss again.
What?
No. What's going on
Oh,
with that league, man? Is the profanity Pee-wee
Same
league?
ref.
the referees, man. I
Same ref.
mean,
It was the
the
same ref.
referees are sensitive, man. I
It
mean,
was
I
the
know I
same
defend
ref.
the wrestler, but they're sensitive as heck.
So they were calling games where the kids would go down with the ball and then get back up, which is a travel. They weren't calling it the whole game. 15
James
seconds left.
James Harden travel. Yeah.
15 seconds left. Same ref. Happens to Milo. He calls a travel.
Wow.
I said, "Are you kidding me? You let 6 go and you do this?" And he said, "You can't talk S from the effing bench." So I was running the scoreboard. I said, "You did that again in front of all these kids again?" But it wasn't really a blow up. That was just the end of the
Right.
game.
Well, speaking of blowouts, I mean, speaking of the hiccups, no disrespect to you, Z, you'll be fine, man. Speaking of the hiccup, the Atlanta Hawks have been hiccuping this season, though. 17-21. There's a lot of teams that have been hiccuping. The Wizards had a great start, but they've been,
The Knicks.
falling down. The Knicks have underachieved. We've been streaky all year, really.
Yeah.
The Warriors, they're starting to get some hiccups a little bit, losing 2 in a row after the great start. And speaking of the Dubs, Klay Thompson coming back. What do you think about that tomorrow?
I mean, a long time coming. Dude's had a lot of injuries. One of the greatest players of his generation. It's going to be important. It's going to be important for the league and
Oh
fun
my
to see.
goodness.
I'm sorry, I can't stop it. I'm really trying, so I keep muting myself. I'm sorry.
Drink some water, man. Drink some water. Slurp some water, man.
I did. I held my breath. I did all that. I can't.
No,
That's terrible timing too.
no,
It
you're
must
fine.
be
You're fine. You're fine. Just play.
Z's on it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Wasting away over here in Margaritaville.
Right. But I can tell you a team that's not hiccuping, the Chicago Raging Bulls. 9 straight wins, not talent. I want to ask you, Z, how far do you think the Raging Bulls would go in the playoffs?
Can't you ask Kev first? But okay. I'll try to make my way through this. They could go to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Okay.
I think so. And then, depending on injuries, depending on COVID, depending on what the heck happens. Damn. Sorry.
You're good. You're fine.
Oh, my God. I hate this. I never get hiccups.
And with that, I'm going to dish the rock to my man, Jedi.
Yeah, for now, this is for this week. Take for this week. Remember, these takes are going to change from week to week. As of right now, hindsight's 2020. They're streaking right now, winners of 9 in a row. They haven't done that in quite some time, in a few years. Winning 9 games in a row for the Chicago Bulls. Everything's running good on cylinder. Remember, there's still more than half a season left. A lot of things can happen: injuries, COVID issues. Anything can happen, going forward. And for now, they look like an Eastern Conference favorite, at least from their bracket, depending on where they end up. They're leading the Eastern Conference right now, currently, with that 9-game winning streak on top of it. And we shall see what for this week they look right now, stock up, and definitely the stock up on that. And we shall see next week. They played, they have a lot of games coming up. They have a lot of good games coming up. And if they, have they gone on their West Coast trip?
The Bulls, I think they might have. Let me check. Chicago, let me check.
Well, each team got depending how many times they're got to go on the West Coast trip as well. We shall see if they come back impressive with an impressive West Coast trip.
I'm checking the schedule right now. They have gone to West Coast trip.
Okay.
They got destroyed in Golden State. They
Okay.
won in Clipperland. They beat the Lakers. They lost in Rip City and won at the Mile High City. Yeah.
Okay,
in
so
Denver.
that's an impressive win right there. Something that the Knicks haven't done in quite some time is going to Denver and winning. That's
Mhm.
impressive there for Chicago, and going forward there they probably have another West Coast trip coming up, probably to Utah and Phoenix and so forth like that later. And it's gonna be interesting to see with them.
In
Um,
fact, they do have Utah and Phoenix in March,
right,
16
right,
and 18
Also,
back to that. Yeah,
also, it's still a newly engineered team, so they're going to take
correct.
time to figure it out. Playing against the best teams of the West, they might be streaky this season,
Mhm.
but
Right, right.
they're dominant against the East, so that's why I say Eastern
Mm-hmm.
Conference Finals. I think, and we'll
Mm-hmm.
see from there.
Possible,
For now,
possible
for
for
now,
now.
because
It might change in the
depending,
future, but right
it
now,
might
yeah.
change. Trading deadline might change. Might see the landscape of the Eastern Conference change as teams are starting to. Some teams might be figuring it out now. Like them, they might be figuring. Chicago might have been figuring out right now,
Mm-hmm.
and also teams that are rising. Might be figuring out as well. Don't Philadelphia? They could
Five,
get that Ben
6 in a
Simmons.
row.
They could, yeah, they're hot right now. The Knicks, they're looking like a little bit of last year's team.
Mhm.
I know. Granted, it's only the Celtics right now, and it's a small sample. We need to see
Right.
more samples, but don't count the New York Knicks out neither. You also have, you know, Miami under the radar team, so
Yeah.
they have to play head to head.
Now,
And the Heat just need to
now
get
this
healthy. Yeah.
now this playoffs is going to be crazy.
It is
I have the
Mhm.
Bulls sliding down to the third seed.
okay.
I
I can
have
see
them
that.
matching up if the Knicks make the playoffs, the sixth seed with the
I think,
Knicks.
yeah.
Now
Yeah.
Bulls Knicks first round. Then no offense, I have them beating the Knicks,
I
Okay.
and then
agree with that right now. I
I have
agree.
them playing the Miami Heat second round. Now Kyle Lowry against DeMar DeRozan in the playoffs.
Juicy.
That'll be a heck of a playoff series, but I think the Bulls will be too much for them.
Here's the thing with that. The Bulls are a good team, but here's what could be their downfall. One, playoff experience. We haven't seen Levine and Lonzo in the playoffs. DeRozan's had an MVP year. I had to see DeRozan play well in the playoffs. He's not that good in the postseason. He's great in the regular season, but
Well,
he needs to be good in
G
the
Money, he
postseason. Yeah.
played well both years. He got swept by LeBron until he played LeBron in the Eastern, Conference Finals.
I thought he was streak. I get what you're saying, but 2016, I thought he was inconsistent versus Indiana and Miami. And again,
He
I
had four.
know,
He had
yeah.
4 or 5 really good games in that playoffs, which is more than we. He was getting better in the playoffs.
I mean, that year, I give you that year. I understand it was the LeBron, but don't forget the Raptors were losing to Paul Pierce too. It wasn't just LeBron. They were also losing
That
to.
was before they got stuff right and started getting farther in the playoffs. I was
I
But
talking
mean,
about.
he has the playoff experience though. That's the
no,
Yeah.
thing that
he has
that
playoff experience. I understand that gives the Bulls an advantage. And don't forget, Derrick Jones and Caruso's been to the NBA Finals too, so that gives the Bulls an advantage. My only thing is that I don't know how Lonzo and Levine will look in the playoffs. I don't know yet. Vucevic is all right in the playoffs. He played bad versus the Raptors, but it was good versus the Bucks. I just gotta see these guys play in the playoffs first.
Levine's a flat out stud. He puts the ball in the hole.
True.
Lonzo's
And,
gonna do what Lonzo does: play good defense and get everybody involved.
they're
right,
gonna
right.
be they're gonna be an interesting team in the playoffs there going forward. For now this week, stock up for the temperature on the Bulls. Looking around any round. We were talking a little bit around the league. We're making on the G Money Hoop Show a little bit about everybody on the league. As Zach had the StreamYard Blues, he'll be right back on. Let him get. He'll be back on in a second. Let's give him a
Mhm,
second to get back on before we bring another team. Talk about another team.
mhm.
Going forward. So let's wait. Let's give him a few seconds,
Right.
and we shall see with that. There, I wanted to get his take on the next team that we want to bring up. What is the New Orleans Pelicans?
The Pelicans, man. I mean, Ingram's back. He's been all right, but the Pelicans, man, they're just not a consistent team at all. They're just dysfunctional. One, the Zion Williamson situation of his foot, the weight. We all know that. The Pelicans, man, they just need a bench. New Orleans needs a bench, and the Pelicans, man, they need a true point guard. Devontae Graham to be more of a 2 than a 1. He's not a point guard. He's a 2. The Pelicans, man, they need culture. They don't have culture, man. They just don't have the culture. They don't have the coaching, and they don't have the bench for them to go far. And the Pelicans, man, before the year, I actually thought they were going to make the playoffs. I thought that Zion would come back stronger. I thought Ingram will have an all-star type year. I thought Valanciunas, he's had a good season with the Pelicans. I thought Valanciunas will help stretching the floor, can bang in the post. But Devontae Graham's been inconsistent all year. They just don't have the consistency, man.
Here's like you said, they need a coach to settle there. They have, and it's interesting to see that Zion Williamson decided to rehab his foot and away from the team. Away from
Mhm,
from team doctors, and he took a facility out in Portland. Excuse me.
mhm,
Doesn't mean he's not going to Portland. It's just away, quiet. Let him do his thing over there. Get back better than ever.
mhm.
I think he'll be back with me personally. I think Zion will return with like 15 games left in the season, and he's just gonna ball out. He's gonna keep people excited.
Sure.
Pelicans are gonna be totally done. They're gonna be,
The season's over. I mean,
right,
the
right. The
only
season, right.
their game back of, let's see, the Pels right
Yeah,
now,
let me bring
or
up the standings.
or a game and a half back of the Spurs, and they're a half game back of the Blazers, and a game back of the Kings. But let's be honest, right? They're not making the playoffs. All right, I
No,
thought they were going to the postseason, but this team's too streaky for me. They're not going to the playoffs. And if they were to get to the play-in, they're not beating the Clippers in the play-in. They're not beating the Nuggets in the play-in. They're not beating the Spurs in the play-in. They're not beating the Timberwolves in the play-in. It's not going to happen.
no. And then my point is that he chose Portland. He had an opportunity to go to get that ankle worked on and surgery in New York. New York special surgery has the best doctors. You saw forget his name. The doctor's name that did Kevin Durant's Achilles is also doing Antonio Brown's surgery as
Mhm.
well. And Zion did go for a consultation there, but he didn't want to because he didn't want to rehab in New York. Because imagine the media circus, him rehabbing and working out and being in New York City doing that programming away from his team. That would have been a media circus. There would have been speculations
Mhm.
galore. Guarantee that his college roommate, his old former college roommate and friend, would have gone seen having dinner with him out in the city
Mhm.
or whatever the case is, and that would have been a media fiasco. So the fact that he went to Portland is because he didn't want the outside noise and information with that. And it's interesting to see that he actually went and he going away from the facilities. I think they're in trouble. The Pelicans, I think David Griffin will be out as a general manager. It
Possible.
should be interesting to see if they do that before the trading deadline or they're going to allow him to trade and sell out, and knowing that his demise is coming. The handwriting's on the wall. You fired the head coach after 1 year last year, despite the fact what it is.
Yeah, the
You
five
know
Stan Van Gundy. Yeah.
that was too much of a quick trigger. You're costing New Orleans a lot of money. No one goes to visit. No one. They don't sell out that arena. They thought they had an influx of ticket sales when they got the first pick. Let's face it, the NBA rigged and got them that the same way they say Patrick Ewing was rigged for New York, Zion was rigged for New Orleans. I'm
Mhm.
sorry,
Mhm.
that's what to me that's the way it is. It is what it is. Religion is history. That's my opinion, guys. Just respect
Look
my
at that.
opinion on that. I think that was Zion to New Orleans.
Word of advice, man. Here's the thing. Before you continue, you can't really force people to respect your opinion. You can't. Okay. A person can let you have your opinion, but they don't have to value the opinion
Right,
itself
right.
if they don't think it makes sense. So don't say that. How about just say, hey, don't be. How about just say you don't have to respect my opinion, but don't take it personal. How about say
Right,
that?
that's good. Go. Let's go with that one then. G Mike. I think that they send him down there to New Orleans. You saw that the first night that they were awarded and they signed him, the ticket sales went off the roof.
Hmm.
The ticket sales went off the roof. They had an influx of cash coming in there. This shirts sold, jerseys were sold. That became a really value to that franchise because let's face it, they weren't down there. New Orleans was a city that failed with an NBA franchise
I
already. They
agree.
had to move it to Utah. They
Hmm.
bought in. They had a name change. Didn't create any buzz. They changed from when they were the Hornets. They gave the Hornets name back. They maintained the Pelicans. It didn't work. It didn't work. It's not working. I don't think an NBA franchise in New Orleans really. I don't know how long is they're going to keep it there. It just doesn't work there. To be honest with you, you try to give this team the one of the supposedly the best one of the best generational players coming out of college, and it just didn't work. You also have Ingram in
Right.
there, didn't work. You know, they have talent. They have young talent. For some reason, it doesn't work. You fired the coach after 1 year because you thought it was the coaching. There's a lot of instability there. You also had help from, they could have traded Chris Paul to New LA, and you had the NBA. You took the owner away from a team. From Christ's sakes, you had the NBA league run the team for a while.
Mhm.
Something. It just that market. I think it's too small for NBA right now, and I
I
think it
agree.
doesn't work.
Yes.
And I think that
Okay.
that's what persuades me to my opinion and my point that I think they helped get Zion Williamson
Good point.
to there. That's why I wanted to say that's my opinion there. Why I think Zion was the number one pick given to them, because
I agree
you're
with that.
telling me we won. What did we lose? We lost we only won like 12 games, but we were on record. We were the worst team
We were
that
tr-
year,
we
and
were we were trash. We won 19 games in
yeah,
2019.
we should have. And you're telling me we're gonna get a worse the third. I can understand. Maybe you would have told me Memphis 1, New York 2, but New Orleans jumped and leapfrog like that.
No, my fault. New York won 17 games. My fault.
Right,
Whew.
right. They were atrocious. They were horrible.
Mhm.
They were and I'm not saying there's no but it's just too much coincidence there, and I don't think New Orleans is gonna work there. I don't think
No, but hang on, CB. Here's what I'm trying to say with that. I can let you have your opinion. I don't mind if you have a different opinion. What I mind is your logic behind your opinion. What I mean by this, I can respect your right to have an opinion, but if the opinion doesn't make sense and there's no logic, I cannot value your opinion. I'll give you an example, right? Here's my example. If someone told me that Alfred Payne is a better shooter than Steph Curry, how can I respect that? It's stupid to say that, right? A person can still think that. However, your opinion is invalid because there's factual evidence to back up my argument. I can respect your right to have an opinion, but if your opinion is not based on facts and there's no logic, I don't have to value your opinion. You have to understand you're not your opinion. An opinion is an idea. I can respect you as a person and I can let you believe what you want. But depending on the topic in hand, I'm not saying you have to agree, salute Z, but you got to be logical if you want your opinion to be respected. Don't force respect. You're
Um,
not your opinion. That's what I believe
no,
personally.
respect is earned, not given. So my point
It's
is that's
earned.
why you had to allow me to bring to the point
Right. I let you talk.
why I'm thinking that way, my opinion on why I'm thinking that was that way, and I brought the arguments up.
Mhm.
It's a failed franchise, it's a failed city that doesn't belong. NBA team does an NBA, like Joe Curry said, if that's a new Kevin T. Jones says, New Orleans is a football town. No matter what, it's not an NBA basketball town. They had a team,
Right.
they had
Good
the
point.
Jazz there first, and it didn't work. They moved them. They came back on expansion. Doesn't work.
Yes.
The NBA tried to help jump kick the Pelicans in New Orleans, and trust me, it's not going to work. I think
I agree.
they need to relocate them. They need to go to Seattle. Enough already. Seattle needs a basketball team.
I just don't think it's gonna happen. I don't see it, to be honest. If they would have did it already. I just don't see Seattle getting
They
a two
just don't
seed.
no,
want they don't have enough teams. Go ahead, Z. Go ahead. Let your
yeah.
boy
For
come in.
the thing about relocating a team is they would need to go back to the Key Arena or whatever the arena was called for
Key
Seattle.
Arena.
Yeah, Key Arena. Okay, I was right. It's been a few
Right.
years. So don't hold me accountable if I was wrong.
You're fine. You're fine.
But
You're fine.
with that was one of the worst stadiums, and the Seattle Storm, we have been asking for a new arena for a couple years now, and they just don't have the tax backing because it's no offense, it's just the WNBA. The WNBA hasn't
Hmm.
been around as long as the NBA, so they haven't gained the
Right.
fan base. They should. I'm not saying they shouldn't. I'm just meant like it's just the factual evidence that they haven't been around near
I
half
agree.
as long. So they're going to take some time to build up their value. But if they bring a team to Seattle, like the Supersonics, a team Seattle fans loved for so long that didn't want them to leave. They were more betrayed than the Baltimore Colts when the Colts left. When Irsay up and left in the middle of the night, they didn't feel as betrayed as the Supersonics did. You know why? Because the Ravens came to Baltimore.
Mhm.
What I'm saying is that helped it. Nobody thought Baltimore wanted or deserved to play a football team again until the
Right.
Ravens came. So it's along the same lines as far as Seattle needs a fan base. People are going to tune in to watch, like Knicks fans like you and I, Kev, and maybe G Money. I don't know how much old basketball you watch. We're going to love to tune in to Seattle Supersonics games again. I'll watch it just for the nostalgia. You know,
Mhm.
they're gonna be more of a cash cow for the NBA than the damn New Orleans Pelicans will be.
Oh yeah, jersey
I agree
sales
with
and
I'm
that.
sorry
everything.
I had to step out for a bit. I just had
No, you're
I had
fine. You're
hiccups.
fine. You're
Let
fine.
me
You're fine. You're fine.
do you money check out where the Seattle Krakens play, what arena the Seattle Krakens are playing? Because here's the deal. Seattle had two arenas already built already. They had a new AT&T stadium for the Mavericks.
Climate Pledge Arena. Are you talking about the arena name? Climate
Yeah.
Pledge Arena.
And is that can you find out is that a new arena? Because here's the deal. The reason why I say that they built a new facility for the Seattle Kraken, new expansion team in the NHL National Hockey League. They could actually, I think, and find out if the Storms are playing there as well.
It opened 2021, October
Okay,
27,
it's a brand new,
2021.
it's a brand new arena. So now you have a brand new arena, and you have the Seattle Storm. Find out where they play as well, please. And if Seattle Storms is playing there as well, if they're sharing that arena, why not have the Seattle, have them bring a franchise back in there? You can't expand in the NBA. You can't because if you do, you need two more teams, and you're going to create a disbalance. You got to relocate, and I think the
Yeah.
team that relocates it has to be the Pelicans because they're just not drawing guys. They're not drawing. Folks don't want to go there, and it sucks because it's an Eastern. For us, it's closer to us. It's only a 1 hour time zone for if you live on the East Coast, and also teams don't have to travel too far. You know that is a
Right.
rigorous traveling schedule. If you're a West Coast team going from Phoenix,
Mhm.
to Memphis, then to Seattle. That's why the Grizzlies in Vancouver didn't work because of the schedule, the
Right.
traveling. It was just
Your point.
it was too much egregious. That's why they moved him to Memphis. So maybe I would love for Seattle to get that franchise there. Personally,
Right. And I'll let before I let you guys talk, CB. CB has to understand what I'm saying here. I'm not saying you cannot believe what you want. You can believe what you want. I'm not. It's just. I'm. Listen. Here's what he's not getting. Okay. Jedi made a great point. You can't force people to respect your opinion. I can let you have your opinion, and I respect you as a person. But unless you know what you're talking about, right? Unless you have a good argument to back up your reasoning, you cannot force me to respect your opinion. I can respect you as a person and I can let you have your opinion no matter if it's smart or baseless. But if the opinion is baseless, it's not really based on facts, depending on the argument, I cannot respect the opinion itself. That just means I'll give you an example, right? I'll give you an example, Jedi. If I told you that the Pistons will get to the playoffs, they'll win every game by 5,000 points, and they'll sweep everybody. Is that an opinion that should be respected and valued? Should
it,
I be taken seriously?
I might agree. I might not agree with you, but that's what you said. You know what? Okay, you have your conviction on that. You have your reason. Now I ask you, okay, one thing about it, what like I said, you get respect, you earn it. You don't recommend it, and you earn it because if let's say time is the best friend on everyone's side. Let's
Mhm.
say for some reason tomorrow, and by the end of the NBA season, they actually miraculously win. Your opinion is going to get respect because you mentioned that.
But
Like,
no, but it's an example. I
but
said
also
they
it could
win
be
by.
delusion. But also you got to know there's a fine line between delusion and realism. It's like
I know. I'm not. I don't believe that. I'm just giving an example. I don't
no,
believe
I
that. Just
know,
an
yeah.
example. And if I said they're gonna win every game by 5,000 points, literally 5,000 points,
No,
is
but
that
you know what? I'm not going to. I'll listen
you
to
sh-
you, and
you're
I'm
not?
like,
You should not respect them.
okay,
You shouldn't. You
but
can.
I'm not going to be also disrespectful and say you're a lunatic. You're
No,
crazy.
no. I understand that. I'm not saying I, th- I get that, but here's what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying disrespect the person. That's not what I'm saying. I don't disrespect the person,
So
but
G Money,
depending,
so
yeah,
G Money, here I have a solution for all this.
yeah.
Instead of going on a long ass diatribe about why you shouldn't respect certain things or do this, how about you just say, "Cool, good point," and then just let it go.
Just move and go, like they do in the
Just let it go,
they do
and
in,
then
like
But
they do in
CB
you're
didn't have to
CNN
bring
you're
it
and
up.
Fox,
fine. See,
like
you're giving it more
CNN,
airtime,
yeah, like
I know,
and
but
CNN and all
CB,
that. Just go
I
move
get
on.
that. I good points there, guys. I'm just saying that CB didn't have to bring that up. That's what I'm saying, though.
well, then just let it go. Don't give him
Yeah,
any airtime, and then he won't bring it up again.
All right, fine. Let's just get. All right, I apologize, everybody. Let's just get
it's all
back
right.
to.
Good
Let's just get back.
program.
Thanks. Let's just get back to sports. Another team that I think has some concerns is the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, you want to hear this, guys? They lost 5 straight home games. They started
Yeah.
off 10-5 at home, lost 5 straight home games. It's the first 5-game home losing streak since they lost 8 in a row back in 2018-19 season. There's reasons why they're struggling. Harden's inconsistent right now. Even though Durant put up a lot of points last night, it didn't feel impactful if you watched the game. I didn't feel his impact. Patty Mills missed open shots throughout the whole
He's
game.
struggling.
He's been inconsistent after that
Mhm.
great start. Their bench needs a little bit of work. LaMarcus Aldridge is a decent player that can give you some mid-range shots here and there, but he's past his prime. This isn't Portland Trailblazers Aldridge. Blake Griffin's been terrible all season compared to his impact last year. And Kyrie Irving playing part-time. I mean, will he take the vaccine? Time will tell. He only can play road games. What do you guys think is wrong with the Brooklyn Nets?
Well, before we go to Kyrie, he cannot get the vaccine because he has 90 days of antibodies. So even if let's say he would say today, right now, I want the vaccine, they can't administer it to him because he just finished having the COVID. He has the 90-day antibody, so it doesn't make sense with the state of And I know, guys, we don't want to get out of the basketball realm. We just got off of
Right,
it,
I understand.
and I'll get back on it. But if the New York State laws, if he's allowed to participate in the practice facilities, but he can't play in the arena. But he has the natural antibodies.
Mhm.
I think he should play. They should for 90 days. Mark it down by calendar. Keep testing.
Mhm.
And once that 90 days, you got to show me you're going to take the vaccine or not. And if New York City or New York
Mhm.
State has that mandate, then you know what? We'll cross that bridge when it comes. But I don't know. He should. And Brooklyn needs Kyrie Irving.
They're going to
Although
need it for
I'm
the
a Knicks
playoffs.
fan. I'm a Knicks fan, and I don't want, don't care about Brooklyn. But I'm gonna tell you the truth. And we're talking about NBA in general, and we want to try to be as partial as possible. I think they should let him play, and I think
Mhm.
they need him.
They need him but not only for road, home too.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
happens if you play game 7? Let's find a team. Let's say the Bucks. Let's say Eastern Conference Finals. Let's say those two teams want to meet. You have a game 7 at home. You're gonna need Kyrie. You're gonna need him because Harden is great, but James Harden's been inconsistent all year. And Patty Mills is getting old. Aldridge is getting old. Griffin's getting old. Durant can only do so much.
We know that what's on the table there. And Z, what's your thoughts on that?
It's pretty simple that how many vaccinated people in the NBA are still getting the virus. So they need to do a lot. So we need to do what the NFL is doing. If you're vaccinated, you get less time off. If you're non-vaccinated, you get the full 14-day quarantine. It's that simple.
Right.
Right. And that, that's they did a CBA, part of the CBA and all that situation. But for Brooklyn going forward, they just Patty Mills is struggling because he had to play starter minutes and his, like you said, his career, he's better days are behind him, and if you leave him out there too long, he gets exposed, and you're starting to see that with Mills, which I think if they could get Kyrie to come back, I think that's what led to one of the points of allowing Kyrie to come back on the road, because Mills was winding down. They were fine with it because they saw what Mills got, but the more minutes on the court, the more he got exposed. And then you got guys, with the COVID issues going down and so forth. And, Cam Thomas, I don't think has really hit that well from as a rookie, of course. Going forward, I don't know his numbers there. They're missing some players. They're missing some players, a few players from last year. They'll be, it'll be interesting to see. You look for Brooklyn to retool on not the trade, but on the buyout market once the trade deadline passes.
Probably. And to me, the problem with the Nets, they don't have rim protection at all. They need to revamp their bench. And the Brooklyn Nets, to me, James Harden needs to stop playing for fouls. I know he can score, get to the rack. He needs to be consistent. James Harden, if you're the beard, you got to use more mid-range shots. You got to hit your step back threes. And he needs to stop playing for fouls, man. There's too many guys who play for fouls. Him, Luka at times, Dame. They got to stop playing for fouls, man. Play to score the ball.
That's what the league dictated, and now they're adjusting to it. But when they came to the league, that was what they dictated to it, and they played to their natural surroundings where refs were allowing that and they were doing it. So it's gonna take about a year because good players adapt like anyone else. What's your
Right.
thoughts on that, Z?
It's going to take a year as far as players adapt to, to this COVID thing.
No, the foul rule
The
when they
new foul
hunt.
rule.
Because you see a lot of the players that used to do that, they're struggling.
I was just making sure we're on the same page.
Yes,
So,
sir.
it's going to take longer because the refs aren't even calling it equally. They're not calling it by the rules. So, if Harden can still get what good players do, they take advantage of the rules. But, and he's trying to still because people aren't calling it consistently. So, it's going to be a while until all these things get sorted out. But
Right. How far? I know it's early, and I'm just saying, as of right now, just right now, how far do you think the Brooklyn Nets can go?
Are they favorite? They right now, no matter, regardless of what their records are, what they're going, they're still the Eastern Conference favorite until said otherwise. Because they like when we mentioned earlier, we were talking about earlier, not to go in circles, but they got at least 3 of the top 15 players in the NBA currently right now on their roster.
Right. What do you think, Z? How far, as of right now, how far do you think the Brooklyn Nets can go in the playoffs?
I mean, they can win it all. Anytime you have Kevin Durant and James Harden on the same team, I know James Harden's been inconsistent in the playoffs, but anytime, like Kevin Durant by himself against the Bucks was one size 22 foot away from going to the finals. Going to the conference finals. But they'd handle Atlanta too. But like he was by himself, dude. He was by himself last year. They didn't even have a Cam Thomas as inconsistent as he is.
Right.
They had PJ Tucker against Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant was cooking the ever living crap out of him. And it was just it wasn't even a contest. But then all of a sudden, it took all of Milwaukee's powers to beat one guy, and the only reason was because Kevin Durant's Bigfoot.
And it's both sides show. And speaking of Kevin Durant's big foot, and again, I don't want to go back into last year, but I want to ask you a funny question. How far do you think the Brooklyn Nets would have gone if Durant would have Michael Jackson moonwalk behind the 3-point line?
Who knows?
Well, they would have won it all.
What do you think, Jedi? Your personal opinion.
You got it.
They would have played the Hawks and the Suns.
They probably would have. They would have won it all. They probably would have. Because they would have been rolling. It would have been a well-oiled machine going forward. And I think they would have. They definitely probably would have won it all. Just breaking news, guys. The NBA has come down. Has fined New York Knicks forward Julius Randle $25,000 for that profanity language and that gesture he used on the media availability and that was announced this Saturday just now. So $25,000 it cost you. So us the fans made Julius Randle lose $25,000. You know what you could do now, Julius? You could now you have an incentive clause. You got to take the team, and if the Knicks go to the playoffs, and you lead the team, you have bonuses. Go out and earn those bonuses. And you know what? This turns out to this. And we want you to do that because now hopefully that motivates you, and you're gonna earn more than 25,000. You're gonna earn I think it's $2.2 million more if we do on that bonus. And go ahead and do it, big guy, because you're not going to make the bonus for the All-Star game because I don't think you're gonna make an All-Star team.
I don't think he's gonna make it this year. I don't see it.
No.
What do you think, Z? What do you think about Julius Randle's situation with the fans and this?
It's hilariously easy to apologize to a fan base after the damage is done and you get money taken out of your pocket for being an a-hole. Pardon my French. Every single fan base talks about their players when they're doing good, when they're doing bad. Knicks are magnified, but every single team. Yeah. On my podcast I just did with two other Cowboys fans there, one was a Kings fan, and you should have heard the things they said about Marvin Bagley, about De'Aaron Fox, respectfully, but everybody talks bad about players, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that if you play more consistently, people aren't going to talk about you.
Right, especially the city I mentioned earlier. The city that he plays in, New York, not only made you a star, You came here, and granted, you busted your rear end. You got in that, you worked your rear end and elevated your talent. But not only we elevated, not only that we celebrated Julius Randle, we also celebrated his young son. We also
Right.
celebrate his wife, who is a famous, on Twitter. I guarantee you, there's a lot of knuckleheads in Twitter that might have said stupid stuff to her on Twitter, because Twitter is a cesspool. A lot of people like to hide behind the keys, and they go at it, and they become very vicious and nasty, because you're never going to see them, you're never going to meet them. They think, although they think, and you're never going to see them. And there's a lot of cesspool when it comes to the social media aspect, and I understand that. And just Randall, just remember, for the 70% that cheering you on and rooting for you, we kind of didn't deserve that. I'm not saying we, but those that did. I've said I'm not, and I'm gonna be totally transparent, and I said it since last March. I'm not a Randall fan. You
Right.
know, I respect and appreciate what he's done to the New York Knicks organization,
Mhm.
because we were terrible. We were really bad.
Mhm.
But he's our superstar. He's the one player that we have here that, and I've been saying that too. If those that see me for now, it's going to be almost a year now that I've been on the YouTube world, and as a panelist, now as a host, as a co-host, whatever the case is, I've been saying, when is New York going to get that superstar that has the moxie, the cojones, the machismo, the set of testicles, to come in here and break this 50-year curse that this organization has, because it is,
Mhm.
and who is it? Nobody has fit the bill or wanted. Although, let's face it, Randall took this as a last minute. We were. It was like the Kemba situation.
Mhm.
Kemba fell on that. Let's face it, everybody put their eggs in the Kevin Durant basket, and didn't work out, so they were left with Julius Randle. All right, let's sign Randall. Let's see if we could reclamation project. Let's remember that, guys. He was supposed to be traded for Obi Toppin.
Right.
Now Obi Toppin's emergence, and we were going to get picks for him, and he changed it. He busted his rear end and worked
Mhm.
extremely hard, which you got to appreciate it.
Yep.
And I really appreciate what Randall did and done for this organization. Now,
Right.
and it was a heat, and let's say, I don't know what happened on the floor of Madison Square Garden. I could only imagine if this is a fan base that's on national television on a playoff when everyone's watching said F Trey Young. I can imagine the beautiful words that they were saying towards Randall. Now, he's a professional. He needs to block that out and continue playing and
Mhm.
being a pro.
Right.
But one thing you got to also remember, and I'm not trying to excuse him. His wife and his son were sitting at courtside, and you don't want your son, no matter what, or your wife at anywhere, in any level, any place, hearing someone profanity spilled at you, and you're only human. You're going to get upset, and you're going to. So I could say, you know what, the gesture on the court, thumbs down, I could forgive that. No sweat. I could brush that off. It's a heat in the moment. I think I might have done that. I've seen people who get upset because you get a thumbs down on your liking videos, and they want to, they threaten people and so forth. I seen that.
Mhm.
And I get it. You get mad at the heat of the moment, but when you sit down and you get a cool off period, and you talk to Stefan Bondi, and you still have that venom and that nastiness about what he said afterwards, that's where it got a little bit like, man, it's tough to defend. It's tough to defend that. I get it at the moment at the court when someone probably says something nasty, but when you had a minute to cool off and say, you know what, we got the game won. You know what, the crowd, they pay what they pay. Some of them are knuckleheads. Some of them are intoxicated. It is what it is. That's New York. If we would have said
And
that, or water under the bridge. But what's your
to
thoughts on
take
that?
it to take it further than that, he didn't just say "s the f up" or "shut the f up." He said, "I know more basketball than any of these people that are talking." It was due to people talking on the internet. It wasn't
Mhm.
even the fans. He premeditated that, and even rolled his eyes when they started chanting MVP, because the Knicks fans did what they always do. If you start playing well, they back you. I was
Mhm.
a huge Julius Randle fan last year
I
till
can
the
tell you were.
playoffs, and I completely changed and I'm gonna be honest, I was wrong about Julius, and I want him gone as soon as possible. What message does this show to a kid that is, to a kid that's going through some similar stuff? People are heckling him or something like that.
Right.
You're just gonna go spout off at the mouth or cry about it? No, you're gonna do what you're supposed to do to change the situation. Whether that's, if a kid situation, stand up for yourself, in a good way, or if it's a professional, if your supervisor's telling you that you're doing wrong in this their aspect of your job, are you going to flip them off or tell them to shut the F up? No, you're going to get fired. Like
Right.
it's that simple, dude. The reason Julius Randle got that money is, and every NBA player, is because the fans come to the game. The fans come to the stands and support. That this league would be nothing without fans. So you can't disrespect
True.
your moneymaker.
Right. We are the paying customers.
Right. And like you said, Z, the thing with Julius Randle, he needs to learn to not be sensitive and take things as a grain of salt sometimes. Look, I understand the fans can be hostile, which they can be, and too hostile sometimes. But like what you guys said, if you're not playing well, the fans are going to boo you. If you're playing hard and playing smart and playing within the system and getting guys involved, doing the right thing, I should say, then your fans are going to cheer you. I don't know Randall personally. I don't know him personally. Randall might be a good guy. He's a good player. But the problem with Julius Randall sometimes and certain players in today's game, they're too sensitive. Learn to take moronic, learn to take certain things in a grain of salt. Learn to just ignore it and move on. Just play your game, play it a smart way, and do the right thing. Because guys like Z was a huge Randall supporter in the regular season last year. But then because of you, who didn't play well, who stunk the joint up in the playoffs last year, some people are going to have different opinions on you. And if you don't respect it, if you don't like it, if you don't want to hear it, just ignore it. At the end of the day, I respect Randall, but if you're Julius Randall, just don't take things personally. Just learn to take things as a grain of salt, play your game, and just, let's not make this personal. I like Randall, but him acting like a child, doing the thumbs down, and also ignoring the MVP who was trying to treat you nicely, is disgusting, man. I cannot respect that.
But and it's not and it's not apologetic for him either. When he got down with COVID, you had a lot of people were celebrating the fact that he was sick
Which
and
was
he's not going to be
sickening.
here, and that's bad. That's bad. That's
It's
where
sickening.
this is where a lot of the root. So we have an aspect, and not just that we're killing Judas Randle either, But there's a fine line for both. I think both are at fault if you ask me.
Yeah,
And
but at the same time, people still say things like LeBron is washed, LeBron can't do this, LeBron can't do that. People are killing LeBron. Do you hear anything other than professionalism come out of his mouth?
right, I
And
know.
he's the best. He's arguably the best player of all time. Depending on what generation you grew up in, he's arguably
Right.
you can't deny he's arguably the best. And
Right,
he's sitting up there. He could have a big attitude about it, like, hold on, yesterday I was the GOAT, today I'm the other proverbial GOAT. But
right.
he's literally been nothing but professional about it. There's other ways to go about this.
And you make a
Mm-hmm.
great point, and as a great example, I give you another example of a former New Yorker player. 1987, they gave out a I think it was I don't know if you ever remember that Kelvin T. Jones. It was a March of '87. I forget the date around. I think it was like the 27th around there, something like that. They gave out I guess a life size poster of Patrick Ewing. He played terrible, and everyone ripped it and threw it on the floor in Madison Square Garden. They filled it like a hat trick. In hockey, when a player scores a hat trick, everyone in the crowd throws their hat literally on the ice, and that's like a delay that they have to clean all the ice, the hats off the hockey ice. There, they threw all the posters in New York to the floor. They were really upset and they were really irate. And Ewing didn't blast the fan. He goes, you know what? If I was a fan, I'll be booing myself too. I was stunk out there,
Right.
and stuff forth like that. And Ewing, and there was a lot of documentary. There's a
Right.
book, forget the name of the book. It was a real good book about right before Pat Riley became coach of the New York Knicks.
Good thing for
Ewing asked for a trade out of New York, and Riley had to sit down with Patrick and bring down this plan and spoke with him. And you saw Riley live to die with Patrick Ewing to a fault that we were like, mine, because that was that meeting they had because Ewing wanted out of New
Mm-hmm.
York. He was like, enough with the rebuilding. Another head coach here, he went through, we all know the history of, those that are new. They went through too many coaches from Luke Huey Brown. They had Rick Pitino. They just kept, it was just a lot of changing. And they just didn't bring the player the second player that they needed for Patrick Ewing, and not just a little history wrestling. Those that know the story, but the new breed of Knick fans and the pain, it's like a cycle that repeats itself. But CB was right. They even booed Jeter, Mariano Rivera,
Right.
the first unanimous Hall of Famer, unanimous Hall of Famer in any professional sport in MLB history. Let's go with there. And he was booed when he blew a couple saves on the road to the Red Sox in the Yankee Stadium. So players, our beloved players, get booed is because we know what they're capable of, what they're giving us, and it is what it is.
Yeah, man. But I think we talked enough about the Julius Randle situation. Okay, let's go with the DeMarcus Cousins situation. He got
Okay,
waived by the Milwaukee Bucks. What teams do you think could use DeMarcus Cousins?
that's a total big. That's like taking. That's like I just. It's like I just had a shot of scotch. Now you're giving me you're giving me apple cider vinegar right now.
And I know. I apologize, though.
um, um, it, it's a tough one. What can give me? Can you? Wow, I have one more thought to close out. Give me Marcus Cousins numbers with Milwaukee before we even see what his skill sets were. My personal thing is Randall moving forward needs to continue to play well. He cannot have a 5 for 25 shooting night
I
because
agree.
Monday night they're gonna boo the living crap out of him. If he has a stinker in Boston, he's gonna have they're gonna boo the living dead outside of him. And now if he scores well and he plays well in Boston, the crowd would easily forgive and cheer him. So what's his number there?
Boogie averaged 9 points per game on 47% from the field, a horrible 27% from downtown, 6 boards and a dish per game.
How many minutes?
Oh shoot! Let me.
It's all right. It's all right. There's a reason why I'm asking these stats.
And Boogie had how many minutes per game? Minutes. He had 17 minutes per game.
Okay, he's a serviceable backup center or a number three center. Um, for the Knicks, it'd be nice to get a player like a Boogie Cousins to come in and play those kind of minutes, that kind of production, but we don't have the room for him. We do.
Right.
We definitely need some low post scoring.
Hmm.
We got Nolan's Noel coming back, and he's got more time to play. A good passer and a scorer in DCB. He doesn't have the minutes because you have a Jericho Sims. Although Jericho Sims is on a two way, and if you're not going to use them, you could play him in the G League and allow them and let them develop better in the G League. It all depends if they want to sacrifice if they want to keep and not play him down there. Although if you're gonna ask me between Boogie Cousins and Lucas Samanik, I'm gonna be biased. I'm gonna say Lucas Samanik, but that's just me. Boogie Cousins still could provide that like that third center, the Taj Gibson role. If we didn't have Taj
Hmm.
Gibson, I think and Gibson, you can't measure what Taj Gibson gives us, but I'm talking about that production, that type of minutes, 10 minutes, 17, 10, anywhere from 10 to 17 minutes coming on the floor
Right.
and providing that will kind of help. I don't think he don't fit the New York Knicks. A team that he might fit is Brooklyn.
Brooklyn or even Chicago. I think the Bulls could use another big man to help out Vucevic or even the Miami Heat. Miami could use Boogie that could help stretch the floor with Ban. Don't forget, I know DeMarcus Cousins may be old, but he still has some playoff experience. He's been to the NBA Finals with the Warriors. So if I were Brooklyn, Chicago, or Miami, I would try Boogie Cousins to help you stretch the floor a little bit, and he can still get you some rebounds too. And he's a good passer himself too. Don't forget.
Not a rim protector though. So
True.
don't expect him to bring in there to come in there to block some shots to rim protect. But he's an instant scorer, a good passer. And it would they don't have a center. I mean, they don't have a point guard really smart. I'm saying Boston, Marcus Smart is okay.
Mhm.
Not that type of breakdown. Let me take that back. Dennis Schroeder. Well, Schroeder and DeMarcus Cousin will work. Pick and pop, and you know what?
Mhm.
Boston is a dark horse there.
Right.
Boston is a dark horse, but
I
I
hear
don't
that.
know if they're willing to do that gamble because they I don't know what Boston's thinking. I don't know what you know with their what their thoughts are, what direction are, because they are so no remember no more Danny Ainge there. Danny Ainge is no longer.
Mhm.
They moved Brad Stevenson's now into the an executive position, and we don't
Mhm.
know how Brad Stevens wants to go forward and wants to execute and mold this team. So we don't know how they want to do what's his thought process. But if you're Boston, that could be a play that you could use. I think
Right.
Hornets. We're talking about they need a center. I don't think he fits there because they're looking for actually for a rim protecting center.
Mhm.
They're looking for a rim protecting center. I don't know Atlanta. I don't know what Boogie's Cousins. reputation outside of the basketball court, where his head is. The reason why I say Atlanta, why I say that, and I bring that, which is none of one's business what people do outside of the basketball arena. That's everyone. That's none of
Right.
our business, nobody's business. But the reason why I bring that is Atlanta has a lot of temptations. When I mean temptations,
Mm-hmm.
strip clubs, and those type of clubs. I don't know if Boogie Cousins in his career that he's had his chances are very limited. He has to get it
Mm-hmm.
going. So I don't know where he's at in his maturity and his mindset to go to an Atlanta. Maybe that might be a little bit too much temptation
Right.
to go there.
Right.
Who knows? Who knows?
Right. Right.
Forgive me if I'm going outside of the
No,
person's
I understand.
character.
I understand. I
You know,
understand. I
but
understand.
that Atlanta could be used for his talent, but I don't know if the surrounding of the city helps him.
Right.
Um,
Right.
let's see. I'm trying to think of landing spots. Yeah, could he? Well, they just had Greg Monroe there with
Yeah, he's
Dame
not going to
Time.
Washington.
He's not. No, I'm talking about Minnesota actually. You know,
Minnesota could use him though to help Carl Anthony Towns, and I assume Towns is going to be in Minnesota after the deadline. I don't think they're trading him.
no, he's not going anywhere.
Boogie would help Minnesota because he has, like I said, he has playoff experience. He's been to the NBA Finals, and with him and Pat Bev, you have two hard nosed bulldog type guys on your team.
Yeah. So yeah, Boogie Cousins situation is out there. It's interesting to see. And now we'll see. We'll see. Will teams want to wheel and deal with the COVID list and guys going off? And if you
Right,
have a good team that already has chemistry, the players that know the system, that knows how to play, will they make a trade? Will they hold themselves to make a trade because they want to keep every possible
right,
roster player as and to bring in new players in to learn the system, like Kevin T. Jones always says, you make a trade, it's like starting all over. You got to
right.
get them acclimated, get them in the system. So he always puts a good point there. So, our resident GM in the building. Salute. Mix
Salute,
100, our
salute, Knicks
program
100
GM
team.
in
How
the
you doing, man?
building. Salute,
How
man.
you doing, man? But there's one team that has brought a sunrise to start the season. The young and fun Phoenix Suns. What do you think about Bismack Biyombo's role with Phoenix?
I think it helps them. I'm glad you mentioned that. I think it helps them. You get a professional rim protector, rebounder. One thing
Hmm.
foremost, a really good solid rebound. Can you give me his average for rebounds per career wise and per this season, if you can?
Right,
I think Bismack Biyombo is always known for being a good rebounder, if I'm not mistaken. And
right, right.
you have his numbers. Let me know when you're ready to give me those
Uh,
numbers.
yeah, I have it. Bismack Biyombo's given rebounding rights this year, 5 boards per game, rebounding wise. Overall, his career average is 6 rebounds per game. He shot 73% from the field, really due to pick and rolls and dunks and lobs, averaging 9 points per game, and he's averaging 2 blocks per game. He's helping us. He's helping us because I'm a Knicks fan, but you're not rooting for the Suns. He's helping us because he can help clog the paint and he can help take pressure off McGee and Aiton. He's not a scorer, but he can help do pick and rolls and lives with Chris Paul and Devin Booker's an improved passer too. And Cameron Payne. So I think he can help us with our pick and roll. Because last year in the NBA Finals, when we had the 2-0 lead against the Bucks, we didn't have rim protection after we lost 4 in a row, and Giannis was going full speed ahead. So now you got Big Biombo, Aiton, and McGee. All three guys can clog the paint and protect the rim and good at pick and rolls, which can help my team in the playoffs, especially want to win a championship. Because last year I just felt that our front line was small. Again, Darius sucks. People talk about the Suns being injured teams. We were banged up going to the finals. Like Chris Paul had a wrist injury, Book had a hamstring injury. Darius Sarge torn his ACL. He could have helped stretch the floor in that finals. And Torrey Craig had an injury. Not to make excuses, because again we lost. But my point I'm saying is that we didn't have a front line to help DeAndre Ayton. Now you got McGee from Denver. You got Biombo, who's in the streets. You got him. He's helped us a lot. He's helped us a lot. Protect the rim, going to the basket. He can run. And don't forget, Biombo was huge for the Toronto Raptors back in 2016 in the conference final. People forget how good he was in that playoff run with the Raptors in 2016. So now with Biombo and the Suns, I think it helped protect the rim, help rebound the ball, and he's good at the pick and roll. So if the Suns could just stay healthy, they have a great chance to win the championship. What do you think?
All right. There's a lot there to unpack. Let me get there first with the
Okay.
three. One thing that we saw a lot of teams that I'm not saying they play the same way as them, but there's kind of like parallel, similar way of playing is the way the Chicago Bulls used to play back in the 90s. Of course, no
Mhm.
one has Michael Jordan. Don't get me, don't, I'm not saying they have a Michael Jordan on their team, but they have like a kind of like a modern day triangle ish type of deal.
Mhm.
And
Right.
one thing that Phil Jackson had and always had was a three-headed center. And the Phoenix Suns right now have like a three-headed center with,
Mhm.
Aiden is their all around, well tuned, talented center. Then you got
Right.
McGee is your offensive center who could pass, who could shoot, who could stretch the
Right.
floor, he could do all those things. And then you got Bismack Biyombo coming in now and playing that defensive juggernaut. That's what you need him for, an
Mhm.
enforcer. Get the rebounds, get in there, 50-50 balls, make it and bang in the paint and cause havoc, ultra shots, or these people from deferring them from coming into the paint and so forth like that. That's what similar work I think New York is trying to do in a way
Mhm.
with Mitchell Robinson, Nolan Noel, and Taj Gibson at times. And
Right.
but of course, Phoenix has way superior, more offensive talent than New York, and I think when they stretch the floor and they got good, and they,
Mhm.
of course, number one thing that New York don't have is a elite point guard, and Chris Paul
Right.
is an elite point guard that sets up and gets things going,
Mhm.
and I think they have balance. At the end of the
Mhm.
day, Phoenix Suns have balance and a
Mhm.
really good head coach that can make the adjustments on the fly and
Right.
knows his team. And that's why you got to like them as a favorite going forward because of that balance that they have.
Mhm.
Now,
Right.
barring injuries and so forth, they have a really good opportunity to make noise, of course, and repeating as Western Conference champions.
Mhm.
But it's one thing that I know about the NBA, it's difficult to try to go back to
It
back
is.
to
Yes.
repeat as even the conference champions, and it's going to be a really difficult task for Phoenix.
Mhm.
Do they have the talent? Absolutely, they have the talent. They have the makeup for it. But now it's talk about can they execute it on the floor, and
Right.
or is there a Western Conference team that's more hungrier that wants to knock them out? Remember, it's always easy to get on top, to climb on top of the mountain. It's more
Right.
difficult to stay on top of the mountain as number
It
one.
is. It is. It is. And yeah, teams like the Warriors, the Jazz, and even the Grizzlies is trying to knock us out from the top of the West. I think the Suns will have a challenging road going to the NBA Finals, but I just think that to me, last year's Finals loss is going to motivate the team. Remember, the Suns started off poorly this year; they were 1-3, and then ever since then, they've been more cohesive. Yeah, there was a bad stretch. We lost 3 out of 4, but now we won 3 in a row. We're playing the Miami Heat tonight, by the way. Could it be a potential NBA Finals preview? Potential. So what I'm saying is that, reason why I believe the Suns have the talent to get to the NBA Finals, they play with teamwork. They have chemistry. They share the ball. They're a great defensive team. Don't forget, they swarm the perimeter. What Phoenix needs to me is another forward. If we can get a Robert Covington, I wish Jeremy Grant wasn't hurt. If Jeremy Grant wasn't hurt, I would have loved Jeremy Grant on the Suns. I think what Phoenix needs is another forward. What do you think?
Well, you want you LeBron is Zion is available too once you're at it. I mean, you gotta
That'll be nice.
what's your salary cap? I don't think it could fit this. I don't think they're allowed to fit. They don't have enough money to without gutting that team. I mean, you remember you got to give something to get something, and you want to break up your chemistry on that team. I don't see Phoenix doing any moves. To be honest with you, I think they're staying pat. If anything, that if a player of a strong magnitude that's available that comes out on the buying market or
Right.
released in the 10-day contract that they want to bring in, I think that's the only way the Phoenix Suns make a move. I do not see them
I
making a
think we
trade.
maybe I think we may be capped out. I'm not saying a
Yeah.
huge trade. I'm just saying like maybe get like a Damari Carroll out there. I'm not saying a huge trade
Well,
because we don't need to
he's
do that.
Damari Carroll is going to cost you nothing. Damari Carroll is out of the league. He's in NBA Africa. I mentioned that for when the
Mhm.
Knicks were struggling. Give Damari Carroll a call, and he's a
Right.
small forward, power forward that you could bring in here. That'd be phenomenal. But I think that's the route. Personally, I think that's the route the Phoenix Suns is going to only the opportunity they only
Right.
have.
Mhm.
Because if any other team is going to want something significant from them, that one of their shooters or something, and then they're like, why am I going to break up this champ? Why am I going to take steps back when I just need a couple steps forward to
Right.
upgrade? And if they don't have the cap room, they're gonna have to wait to see if someone gets bought out. I'm not
Mhm.
using that play. I'm using an example
I
player
know. I
of
know. I know. I
an
get. It, I get. It,
example
I
of
get.
a
It.
player of a magnitude like a John Wall. I'm not saying they're getting John Wall, but I'm talking
I
about
understand.
that kind of level. And if he gets bought out, then they go in there. Let's say for some reason Carmelo Anthony gets bought out. for some reason, Phoenix. That's the way. That's the type of ilk that player that they might have to bring going in there, going
Right.
forward. But I don't think Phoenix issues is offense. They need a really good small post defender that could just defend the
Right.
post at a monster, that goes in there, that's known for defensive, and just goes in there and maybe. And I'm thinking you guys got it. You got to be patient. It's Bismack Biyombo. I think he's the one
Biombo's
that
gonna help.
I
He's gonna
think he's
help.
going to help. I think he's going to need time just to get acclimated, and there's plenty of
Right.
time. There's more than a whole half a season to come forward. I think Phoenix is not going to make a move. They're going to
Right.
stand
Right.
pat. They're going to stand put, and they're just going to ride it out. I don't see no moves from them unless they're going to have unless Los Angeles makes the move that we talked about earlier when we talked about early, and they make a splash. Maybe Phoenix might panic, but if I'm Phoenix, I'm staying put. I like my horses. You know
Right.
what? I like where we were, and sometimes less is more, and the less change you make, the better it is, and we'll see going forward.
Right.
Anything
Right.
before we wrap up, because I know we got to get going pretty soon to wrap up.
Right. Right. Just one more. I'm gonna do one more team, and then we'll wrap up. How about the Cleveland Cavs? Let's talk about the Cavs for a moment.
Very good one. I'm glad you mentioned that one for the final.
The
Good one.
Cleveland Cavs, because I want to give them some love. They had a great start to the season. They were 9-5. Then they lost 5 in a row. They were 9-10. Then they went 11-3 to be 20-13. Then the Rubio injury against the Pelicans, and then they had lost 4 out of 5. And then they won a night. I mean, last night, I'm sorry, against the Blazers on the road, and they matched last season's win total with 22 wins. So with adding Ricky Rubio, how do you think he's going to help mentor the young guys like Allen, Garland, Mobley, and Osman, and marketing?
Well, I'm glad you made two things there. It doesn't look like Kevin Love will be bought out. It looks like they're going to keep him and use him, because that's a type of forward that being bought out would have been a perfect situation for Phoenix to pounce on. As a bought out candidate, Kevin Love then they get the low post power forward there that's not required to him to take the put the team on his back and go forward. They could use him, and that kind of 4/5 fiddle. To be honest with you, on the floor, and a solid professional. But now that's not going to happen. You saw that now Ricky Rubio is done for the season. He's gone. They made a good move. They brought in Rajon Rondo in there to try to help. I don't know how much he has left there. Could there be they're going to make a move? I think they have a carrot to dangle, although he's injured, and Colin Sexton. Would a team want to take him and have the rights and have the ability, the rights to match him?
Right.
And have them in their system, so they have restricted rights for it. Can I see a team like New Orleans Pelicans getting involved and trying to sign trade for Colin Sexton just to hold his rights, and at the end of the season try to pair Sexton, Ingram, Zion, kind of a big three type of deal, and go forward, to revamp, take a punt. They're already not going anywhere, and revamp that way. You could see that kind of move. You could send maybe I don't know what Cavaliers want. Whatever other players that it's available, but you hold on to those three, and everyone else is
Right.
available for them. You could do that, or another team that needs a point guard that for the future. That this year they're okay and they could get away with not having the rights. Even the Philadelphia 76ers could use Colin Sexton and send a Ben Simmons type of deal or whatever, make it work to
Yeah, but
Cleveland.
I don't think. But here's the thing, though. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Philly wants a banged up point guard in Sexton, because I think he might be done for the year. He
No,
may
he's not
come back.
coming back. He's not. I don't think he's coming back. Maybe he might come back. But the point is that was my point I was telling you before. A team that's willing to have trade for a Colin
Right.
Sexton to have the rights to sign him in the offseason
Mhm.
extend him he's going to be a restricted free agent for the Cavaliers. Now they could sign and trade him in the offseason to a team that
Mhm.
wants him. But if they really wanted to bring him back, they could bring him back, match the contract that any team gives him, and the team won't get him. So maybe a team like New Orleans is not going anywhere. They're gonna take a chance. Say, you know what, we won't be able to sign them anybody on free agency. We could go above and beyond our cap to bring, and we could sign a restrictive player in Colin Sexton, bring him in here, and let him sit the rest of the year, whatever it is. We'll sign him again. We'll extend them. We'll have the
Mhm.
bird rights. We'll extend them. Now we have coming to 2023 next season, 22-23 season. You come up with a big three with Colin Sexton, Ingram, Zion Williamson,
Right.
and you go and you build for next for this is a move. This is a move talking about building for the future. Colin Sexton is available for teams like that thinking about the future, that willing to give up a maybe an expiring contract with a second
Mhm.
round pick for a Colin Sexton for his rights. Those type of
Mhm.
deal I can see Cleveland trying to get involved and want to get Dance and move that, because he's not going to play on there anyway, and you wouldn't want to disrupt what they have right now. Garland,
Right.
they got a nice team.
Mhm.
They're a feel good story this year in the NBA, and then with those kind of moves like that, it'll be interesting to see if teams will bite. You could just look at the bottom feeders. Maybe Pistons. Who knows? They talked about Jeremy Grant.
Mhm.
Although I wouldn't know why Colin Sexton will fit in Detroit.
Detroit.
They have already, they got their number one pick. They don't need a point guard. But I'm talking about places like that
Right.
were willing to take a gamble and try to bring something. Even Dallas, you
Mhm.
know, Dallas got, they got Luca.
Mhm.
Could they move a Jalen Brunson? Because remember, right,
Mhm.
Rondo's down, Garland, but maybe they want, I don't know. I'm trying to as we
I
speak,
understand.
trying to imagine and fabricate something that we could see for that, and it'll be interesting. I don't see Orlando getting involved for
Mhm.
Colin Sexton because they have point guards themselves. It's teams that need point guards, but in New York, I won't go nowhere near. I wasn't for it in the summer,
Mhm.
and I'm not for it now. And I wouldn't want Colin Sexton for giving up anything right now
Right.
for him, or unless if you're talking about one draft pick and keeping him
Right.
there to have the rights to sign him, then we'll talk. Then maybe but to give up
Mhm.
a rotational player for Sexton right now, I wouldn't do that to help. Maybe the Charlotte draft pick that's going to
Mhm.
be somewhere 19 and it's protected until like 19 if Charlotte or higher, then you might want to give that up. Maybe you could do that for his rights, but those are the type of moves I think Cleveland is going to get involved in,
Mhm.
going forward. I don't see them other than that. That's the one really good, and it's a good bargaining chip. Don't get
Mhm.
me wrong. That's a really good chip, going forward to see.
Right. Right. Cleveland, I mean, they just need to just get healthy. I mean, the Cavaliers had a surprise season. Jared Allen's had a double has been beasting double doubles, 70% from the field. Kevin Love had a resurgent year so far, stretching the floor, grabbing some rebounds. Even Darius Garland's had an all-star type season. Going to the basket, he's quick, he shoot the three. And even Shetty Osman, don't talk about him. He's hit some big shots.
Yeah.
Last night against the Blazers, he hit some big time threes in the fourth quarter. And Laurie Markkinen, he's had a good year after he was struggling in Chicago, stretching the floor, can get to the basket. What the Cavs need is more experience. I think Cleveland needs more experience. So the only true experience you got is now Rondo and K Love. Because those guys have won championships before. But the rest of the Cavaliers, I mean, I know Osman's been to the finals in 2018, but Jared Allen's only been to the playoffs twice. He has some experience, but he doesn't have a lot of playoff experience. We don't know how Garland's gonna look in the playoffs, Laurie Markkinen. But the Cavs are a nice young team, and JB Bickerstaff, who was my coach of the year before they went a little bit of a tailspin, he's done a good job to bring them to the bringing the unit together. And I loved how Cleveland plays great defense. The Cavs are a very good defensive team, hard nosed defensive team. And I heard that the Cavs want another playmaker. That's what I heard. They want another playmaker since Sexton's out too. So if the Cavaliers could just maybe make another move, I guess, and stay healthy, they have a great shot to make the playoffs for the first time since 2018 when they went to the NBA Finals.
And I don't think that. I think they're right near the cap too. They I don't think they're cap strapped, but they don't have much money to bring in to absorb a contract. But I mentioned the reason why
Mhm.
I say that, you know, they gotta shed Sexton's contract, which is I think let's say 20 million. But they won't be able to get De'Aaron Fox. Fox will be a playmaker that could bring in there, but I don't think they have enough
Yeah.
money. They're gonna have to bring. It's gonna be Sexton and another one of their pieces there to go with to match up the salary.
Mhm.
To go down that way. But no, that's interesting. That's interesting. Let's see if it. it'll be very, very interesting with Cleveland to make a move going
Mhm.
forward. And I don't know. It'll be see. We'll keep touch on base that next week. We'll keep a temperature because
Right.
as the week gets closer to the trading deadline,
Mhm.
more situation, more rumors. Maybe we might be rehashing and repeating almost the same thing next week. Hopefully not. Hopefully there's some new rules and new situation and a lot of storylines for next week. But G
Mhm.
Money, thank you for having me on
You're welcome,
on the
man. You're
program
welcome.
on there. So I'll step out. So let you do what you do.
You're welcome. You're amazing, man. You know your sports. Thank you, Z, for coming in. Thank you, Jai, for coming in. And with that, I'm about to end this stream in a few seconds. Thank you, everybody, for coming to today's show. Thank you, everybody, for joining in, talking about the ins and outs of the league, talking about trade rumors, playoff previews, and, you know, and CB's right. I don't mind DeMarcus Cousins, but I just don't think he's coming here. But with that, thank you everybody for joining to the show. Just stay safe. Let's not do anything stupid. Let's not, just stay safe from the virus. Stay healthy. Drink water. Exercise. And with that, see you later, everybody. Deuces.
Take the lead. All even at 1-on-1 here. Here's Fournier holds the ball and RJ comes up with the ball. RJ passes it back to Quickly. Quickly 12 on the shot clock. Quickly puts up the floater. It's good! Emmanuel Quickly gives the 2-point lead for the Knicks. 103-101. Yes, indeed, IQ. Yes, indeed. That's what we're talking about. I need you to hit that count because you called the buzzer beater. You called it about 2 minutes ago. 2 to 3 minutes ago.
When there was a minute left in the game, I said I could feel it.
Here we go. Everyone on their feet. Hope they call a foul here. Here's Burt. RJ from the curl for the win. It's good! RJ Barrett! Yeah! RJ Barrett! He hits it! Yes, indeed!